Fang Chen's eyes widened in utter disbelief as he muttered to himself, "A 2-star giant king, how can this be?" The giant king before him was actually about the same size as an ordinary human. Ordinary giant kings would be at least 20 zhang tall. Even the daughter of the giant emperor, that purple crimson princess, stood a full 8 zhang high. How could this one be nearly indistinguishable from a human? But what truly made Fang Chen's heart race was far from the opponent's size. The question that made his hair stand on end was, how did this 2-star giant king come to the middle continent? You see, the sky, piercing black pillar of Taking Great Prefecture, had always been hidden deep within the black cloud stronghold. According to the merciless laws of the heavenly realm, before the day of the great hunt, the ancient giants could not set a single foot into the stronghold. How exactly did this 2-star giant king get down here? A scene suddenly flashed through Fang Chen's mind. It was the previous worry of the Grand Libationer. He had warned that an unfamiliar aura of an ancient giant had appeared out of thin air in Taking Great Prefecture. At the time, Fang Chen hadn't taken it to heart, thinking it was some remnant like the cold mountain giant king from 1,000 years ago, whose strength was less than a tenth of IT's peak, unable to stir any ripples. But this 2-star giant king before him, with his peak oppressive aura, had clearly just descended from the heavenly realm. Could it be that he came down from the sky, piercing black pillar of another prefecture, then traveled across and sneaked into Taking Great Prefecture? Just as Fang Chen was in shock and uncertainty, Lu Zhu beside him also lifted her head with difficulty. She stared at this 2-star giant king, her face equally filled with bewilderment. How can there be a 2-star giant king in the middle continent? She also completely could not fathom where this 2-star giant king had come from. At that moment, the 2-star giant king spoke in the tongue of hell, issuing indifferent words. "Lu Zhu, you indeed betrayed the 5-star giant king." Lu Zhu's heart shook violently. She asked in shock, "You were sent by the 5-star giant king, but why have I never seen you, and how exactly did you get down here?" The Verity Venerable calmly retracted her domain, gave Lu Zhu a deep look, then turned her head and transmitted her voice to Fang Chen. She is not lying. It turned out that the Verity Venerable had suspected from the start that Lu Zhu had brought this 2-star giant king down to the mortal world with her. So she had secretly cast the Verity domain upon Lu Zhu. The results showed that Lu Zhu also did not recognize the 2-star giant king before them. The dense yin energy gradually dispersed, revealing the true visage of the 2-star giant king. It was a figure with rough, cracked skin, exuding an air of primal savagery, with long black hair flowing. Above his forehead, 2 green stars slowly revolved. His terrifying fist, several zhang in size, rapidly shrank with the turning of the stars, finally returning to normal size. Fang Chen's gaze shifted as he speculated in a deep voice. This giant king's innate power must be the ability to freely change his body size. Only this could explain his strange physique and the fist that could shrink and expand at will. And it was precisely because of this that he could squeeze down through the forge, wide sky, piercing black pillar. However, this still could not explain how he bypassed the blockade of Black Cloud Stronghold and directly infiltrated the sky, piercing black pillar. The 2-star giant king cast a cold glance at Fang Chen. His enormous eye, which occupied half his face, gleamed with the brutal light of a predator staring at prey. "You're the one who moved the sky, piercing black pillar. Very well, your head is mine. But first, I must deal with a traitor." The 2-star giant king's gaze shifted to Lu Zhu, his voice as cold as if dredged from an ice cellar. "For a mere ant of the middle continent, you actually betrayed the king of Black Sun Court. Will you tear off your own head, or shall I do it myself?" Lu Zhu struggled to jump down from the Verity Venerable's grasp and shouted urgently, "All of you, leave now. I'll deal with him." But how could she be a match? That punch just now had already taken half her life. Now she simply could not withstand the 2-star giant king's full power strike. In but a single exchange, her fragrance would fade, and she would perish. The demoness slowly retreated, her voice extremely grave. "A 2-star giant king of this level is not something we can handle." The punch that nearly blasted Lu Zhu apart still sent chills through her heart even now. The Verity Venerable's eyes were also filled with deep wariness. A 2-star giant king at the peak of his power was indeed not someone she and the demoness could handle together. Even with the heavily injured Lu Zhu added, they would absolutely be no match. The 2-star giant king narrowed his eyes, staring coldly at Lu Zhu, his tone dripping with sarcasm, still daring to resist. "Then I'll do it myself." A trace of bleakness showed in Lu Zhu's eyes as she shouted, "All of you go. Run as far as you can." She knew that today she could not escape death. But at that moment, a broad, sturdy silhouette suddenly appeared before her. Fang Chen stood in front of her. This scene, how similar it was to when King Asura Ari was about to kill her. Lu Zhu's heart tightened as she cried out urgently, "Don't play the hero, he's not like King Asura Ari." King Asura Ari had lost his mind back then, only driven by mindless slaughter without a clear target, but this one came specifically for you. Standing in front of me, aren't you just throwing your life away? Sure enough, the two Star Giant King's gaze turned icy as he said grimly, "Perfect, I'll kill you both together, saving me the trouble of searching one by one." Without another word, his fist shrank again, ready to blast both of them simultaneously. Fang Chen, his expression composed, said coldly, "Try it." He flipped his palm, producing a mirror and holding it before his chest. Inside the mirror, a purple-skinned giant sitting cross-legged was firmly sealed within. The two Star Giant King initially paid it no attention, but when his gaze cleared and he saw the face of the person in the mirror, his expression changed drastically, and he blurted out, "Purple Crimson Princess." He forcibly pulled back the punch he had thrown, his face full of shock as he demanded, "How is the Purple Crimson Princess in your hands? What is going on?" Fang Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. He turned to Lu Zhu and asked in a low voice, "Do you know the Purple Crimson Princess?" Lu Zhu shook her head blankly. "I've never heard of her." Fang Chen looked back at the two Star Giant King, his eyes showing doubt. Both belonged to the Black Sun Court, so why could this two Star Giant King recognize the Purple Crimson Princess at a glance? He had originally intended to introduce her, but this was better, since the other party recognized her. His threat carried even more weight. Fang Chen sneered coldly, "Good that you know. Try anything, and I'll make your princess spill blood on the spot. See how you'll explain that to the Giant Emperor when you return." The two Star Giant King instantly hesitated, afraid of triggering a catastrophe. He stared at the trapped Purple Crimson Princess, both anxious and furious, roaring, "Insignificant ant! How dare you treat our Purple Crimson Princess this way? Release her, or I'll bathe taking great prefecture in blood." Fang Chen's face remained cold, his tone unruffled. "Spare the useless words. Whether the ancient giant's blood bathe taking great prefecture or not, a mere two-star giant king like you can neither decide nor change. The only thing you can decide is whether the Purple Crimson Princess continues to live or perishes together with me." The two-star giant king asked in a deep voice, "What exactly do you want?" Fang Chen enunciated his terms word by word. "Very simple. Roll back to your heavenly realm. Additionally, keep Lu Zhu's secret and pretend nothing ever happened." The brutal light in the two-star giant king's eyes began to flicker uncertainly. Fang Chen gripped the mirror tightly, continuing to pressure. "You're merely following orders. Is it worth risking your life like this? If the Purple Crimson Princess dies because of you, will you still have your life? What's more important, your job or your own life? Is that a hard choice?" Two-star giant king fell into deep thought. It must be said that Fang Chen's words were not without reason. If he pretended to have seen nothing, he would naturally remain safe and sound. But if he forcibly interfered, leading to the death of the Purple Crimson Princess, he would meet a miserable end. More actions, more mistakes. Fewer actions, fewer mistakes. No action, no mistakes. This iron law holds true everywhere. Lu Zhu's eyes flashed as she chimed in, "That's right, why throw your life away? Besides, you're probably not from the Black Sun Court, are you? Then there's even less reason to risk your life for the five-star giant king of the Black Sun Court." The Verity Venerable and the Demoness saw hope, and each summoned their spirit weapons. The Verity Venerable threatened coldly, "Although I am no match for you, stalling you for a moment to give Fang Chen time to execute the Purple Crimson Princess is something I can still do." The Demoness immediately added, "And with me, it will be more than enough." Under the combined pressure of all, the two-star giant king was forced to struggle desperately. After a long moment, he gritted his teeth fiercely and said, "Fine, I'll let you off today, but don't celebrate too soon. Our descent is imminent. You few will ultimately not escape death, HMPH. With a furious expression, he turned his head, leaped onto the heaven-piercing black pillar, and darted upward. In the blink of an eye, he vanished without a trace, and even his aura could no longer be sensed. Only then did the crowd, who had been on high alert for a long while, gradually breathe a sigh of relief. The Demoness, with a look of astonishment, examined the Purple Crimson Princess inside the mirror, clicking her tongue in wonder. "Young master, you actually captured the daughter of the Giant Emperor. This is equivalent to the young sages of Celestial Province being abducted by the ancient giants, a cataclysm of heavenly proportions." Upon hearing this, True Word Venerable felt an inexplicable surge of pride in her heart and couldn't help but interject. Fang Chen snatched her forcibly from the grasp of a 5S Tar Giant King and the Immaculate Great Venerable, the process was incredibly perilous. You wouldn't believe it if I told you. Just as she finished speaking, she abruptly realized her mindset was amiss, hastily closed her mouth and cursed inwardly. Fang Chen wasn't her man, so why was she feeling so proud about him? Lu Zhu, on the other hand, remained much calmer. Having personally witnessed Fang Chen's actions in the Black Sun Royal Court, she felt she could accept anything he did. She said with a touch of embarrassment and gratitude, "This time, I'm once again indebted to you." Fang Chen curled the corner of his mouth into a teasing smile and said, "Then just now, were you moved to the point of wanting to be my real wife again?" Lu Zhu's face instantly flushed bright red. She shyly scolded him, pounding his chest with her delicate fist, and spat, "Who wants to be your real wife? Stop dreaming. Let's get out of here." Before she could finish, she suddenly sensed something and looked toward the heaven, piercing black pillar. Her expression drastically changed, and she shrieked, "Watch out!" On the backside of the heaven, piercing black pillar, a shadowy figure the size of a monkey had appeared, clinging there at some unknown time. It was the two-star Giant King, who had once again shrunk significantly. He had not left at all. Instead, he had stealthily shrunk his body and hidden on the backside of the heaven, piercing black pillar. Seizing the instant when everyone had let down their guard, he struck without hesitation. His arm instantly shot out to a length of 10 zhang, swift as lightning, giving them no chance to react, and snatched the mirror right out of Fang Chen's hand. Oh no, true word, Venerable's face paled. That mirror was their protective treasure. Once taken, the two-star Giant King could slaughter them without restraint. She decisively activated the Phoenix Feather 9 flame fan, and blazing flames swept forth. The demoness was also alarmed, immediately activating her 7 rings, and the sharp sound of air braking pierced their eardrums painfully. Lu Zhu was even more startled, ignoring her injuries, frantically channeled yin energy, and fiercely bombarded the rapidly retracting arm. The 3 venerables struck simultaneously, unleashing a power that shook the heavens and the earth. Even the two-star Giant King was racked with pain, letting out a ferocious roar. Under the relentless bombardment of the 3, his arm was instantly mangled beyond recognition, nearly severed. Especially at the elbow, only some tendons still held it together. But the two-star Giant King, relying on sheer willpower, endured the agony and forcibly retracted his forearm. With his other hand, he snatched the mirror from the severed hand in a flash. He looked down and saw the phantom image of the purple crimson princess within the mirror was intact, and his face immediately lit up with joy. Immediately after, he leaped down from the heaven, piercing black pillar with a thunderous crash. Boom! The earth shook violently, and a ferociously savage aura spread wildly in all directions with the impact. His massive golden eyes fixated fiercely on Fang Chen, and he let out a low chuckle. Hey, you didn't expect me to circle back, did you? Threatening me with the purple crimson princess, you truly deserve to die. True word, Venerable and the demoness saw this. Their faces drastically changed, and they quickly moved to shield Fang Chen behind them. The two-star Giant King saw this and laughed coldly, useless. No one can save him today, no matter who comes. Moving the heaven, piercing black pillar and abducting the purple crimson princess, these 2 crimes alone would make even the giant emperor himself unable to resist obliterating him. Perfect, I'll take his head back for a reward. Just then, the purple crimson princess inside the mirror showed not a trace of relief on her face. She knew all too well, even when she fell back into the hands of a 5-star Giant King, Fang Chen had forcibly taken her back. How much more so this mere 2-star Giant King? She immediately warned coldly, "First check the mirror for traps. This Fang Chen would never fall for a trick so easily." To think a mere pincer strike could trap Fang Chen, she didn't believe Fang Chen would be so careless. The 2-star Giant King was taken aback, subconsciously flipping the mirror over to look at the back. It might have been fine if he hadn't looked, but as soon as he did, he was nearly frightened out of his wits. He saw that on the back of the mirror, a layer of dense demonic liquid had adhered, firmly gluing his palm and the mirror together. No, this was definitely not just dense demonic liquid. There was something else mixed in. Because his palm was visibly rotting at a speed visible to the naked eye. The 2-star Giant King's pupils suddenly constricted, and he cried out in horror, "This is the venom of the Dark Knight Black Serpent." The venom of the Dark Knight Black Serpent was practically a natural bane to the ancient giants. Even a Giant King would not be spared. In a mere instant, his huge palm had rotted away to nothing but stark white bone. And even the bones were rapidly corroding. With his grip loosening, he could no longer hold the mirror, and it clattered to the ground. The purple crimson princess's expression darkened. It was just as she had predicted. Fang Chen's advantages were not so easily taken. Without hesitation, she sharply warned, "Sever your own arm, quickly." The two-star giant king abruptly came to his senses, and without a second thought, ducked his head, opened his huge bloody mouth, and fiercely bit into his own arm. With a crack, the arm snapped off, and before it could hit the ground, it completely rotted into a puddle of black sludge in midair. If he had been a moment slower, the venom would have spread to his body, and then it would truly be beyond salvation. And just as he severed his own arm, a fishing hook darted over like lightning, precisely hooking the mirror on the ground and carrying it away. The purple crimson princess sighed softly. "I knew it would be like this." She looked at the two-star giant king, her gaze abruptly turning sharply fierce. "As the imperial princess, I give you my highest decree. Forget about me. Kill Fang Chen." Before she could finish, the mirror had already flown back into Fang Chen's hand. But the order had already been given. Fang Chen's expression darkened. "Aren't you afraid of death?" The purple crimson princess's expression was exceedingly cold. "The threat you pose to the ancient giants far outweighs the benefits I can bring to the giant race. Trading my life for yours, I come out ahead." Fang Chen said no more, shoved the mirror into his robe, and with his other hand, pulled out the wish paper, sharply commanding the group, "Everyone hold on to me." He was well aware that the two-star giant king had received the purple crimson princess's death order, and would execute it to the letter. Even if it ultimately led to the princess's demise, with this order in place, the giant emperor would not make things excessively difficult for him. In other words, this two-star giant king no longer had any reservations. From now on, he would only slaughter madly. Their only path to survival was to flee. "I shall travel 80,000 li with my friends." Fang Chen directly activated the wish paper, and the dust of time and space in his mouth began to rapidly deplete. But the two-star giant king, who had now cast aside all reservations, would never give him a chance to escape. His huge vertical eye was filled with brutal savagery as he roared madly, "Think you can leave?" To ancient giants, hands were never the only weapons. As he spoke, a crimson tongue shot out of his blood, filled maw like a speeding arrow, carrying a string of afterimages straight for Fang Chen. The speed was too great, so fast that even True Word, Venerable, and Lu Zhu couldn't react in time. In truth, even if they had reacted, it would have been useless. This was the full-force strike of the two-star giant king, and no one present could block it. The two women's expressions froze instantly, their hearts suddenly stopping, their breath catching, and their minds going completely blank. Fang Chen's vision was instantly filled with that crimson, and immediately after, a sharp pain struck his head. His mind also went blank for that instant. This strike, aimed squarely at a vital spot on his head, was meant to kill him in an instant, leaving not a single chance. And the two-star giant king seemed to have succeeded. In that split second, countless pivotal moments flashed through Fang Chen's mind like a spinning lantern. The joy of a seed sprouting, Liu Ruxu taking out her personal savings to pay his betrothal gifts, the encounter with Gong Kei, the confrontation with the demon emperor, his union with the Yunxia consort, and even the breakthrough to the nascent soul realm. Scene after scene flashed by, distant yet as if happening just yesterday. Was it going to end just like this? A bitter smile spread across the corners of his lips. But he still had so many things left undone. Just then, the two-star giant king suddenly let out a startled cry of suspicion. Immediately after, the sharp pain in Fang Chen's head receded like the tide, as if nothing had ever happened. Even the bloody hole that should have been on his forehead vanished without a trace. Had the two-star giant king's tongue not still been hovering before him, he would have suspected that the piercing of his skull had been nothing but an illusion. "This is—" Fang Chen froze for a moment, instantly understanding something, and immediately raised his head to look at the Heart's Karma Venerable. He saw the Heart's Karma Venerable sitting cross-legged, half of his head shattered, blood and brain matter streaming down his face. And in his arms he clutched a block of ice, within which a heart-shaped bronze lock was faintly visible. At the last moment, the Heart's Karma Venerable had picked up the fate transfer lock from the ground, and transferred the lethal blow meant for Fang Chen onto himself. Fang Chen's heart was struck with tremendous impact, unable to believe it. The one who ultimately saved his life was the Heart's Karma Venerable, who had always sought to kill him. "Watch out!" A sharp cry from the True Words Venerable abruptly yanked Fang Chen back to reality. With its first strike foiled, the two-star giant king's long tongue viciously lashed out, aiming for a second kill. This time, it gave the true words Venerable, the Demoness, and Green Pearl a moment to react. All three attacked simultaneously. Fang Chen also let out a guttural roar. Grand Derivation Sword Array. The power of his nascent soul was instantly drained. The three top-grade spirit swords on his back transformed into three divine rainbows piercing the sun, slashing down with a thunderous boom.
Boom, clang, spurt.
The combined might of three venerable level combatants, plus Fang Chen's attack that neared the venerable level, collided with that long tongue in an earth-shattering clash. The spirit swords reeled back. Fang Chen was blasted away, his chest caving in on the spot, several streams of blood spraying from his mouth. Green Pearl, the Demoness, and the true words Venerable, along with their Yin Kai and spiritual artifacts, were also successively hurled backward. The two-star Giant King let out a harrowing shriek. Its tongue was blasted apart in the middle, black blood gushing madly. With eyes full of venomous hatred, he bellowed, "All of you shall die." Its body immediately emitted a frenzied drumming vibration. Torrents of black blood spewed from the severed arms and shoulders, and two new arms, complete with forearms, violently regrew. He thrust both fists out, instantly expanding to over a dozen zhang in length, roaring toward the four with world-obliterating force. Already grievously wounded, how could they have any strength left to continue fighting? Gritting his teeth, Fang Chen resolutely took out the mirror and pressed it against his chest, ready to choose mutual destruction with this imperial princess.
Spurt.
Suddenly, a muffled sound spread in all directions. Those indestructible arms, in the instant they were about to strike them, shot up into the sky. It was 100 Zhang black demonic blade descending from the heavens, instantly severing the two-star Giant King's arms. At the end of the demonic blade, a demon venerable clad in a red robe, his gaze fierce as a wolf's, coldly stared at the two-star Giant King. Scum of the heavenly realm, daring to wreak havoc in my Middle Earth. Domain of no desire. At the back of his head, a black divine ring suddenly flared, and a mighty domain force instantly radiated in all directions. The two-star Giant King's eyes immediately became blank and bewildered, as if all desire had been stripped away. He could not even muster the will to resist the demon venerable's attack. The newcomer was none other than the Nodi's Venerable, who had been pursuing the Demoness. He had pursued her all the way, only to find a Giant King, who should have been in the heavenly realm, slaughtering the souls of Middle Earth on its soil. As a cultivator of Middle Earth, how could he sit idly by? Seeing that the domain had him under control, the No-Desire Venerable swung his demonic blade horizontally and violently cleaved at the two-star Giant King's chest. The two-star Giant King was no simple foe. After a momentary daze, he jolted awake, urgently let out a fierce roar, lowered his head, and opened his mouth, using his full set of live fangs to bite down firmly on the descending demonic blade. With a crack, a large number of teeth shattered and flew away, and his already enormous mouth was slashed open at the sides. Yet this supposedly fatal blow was forcefully endured by him, using his teeth. HMPH, the No-Desire Venerable's killing intent surged, and he was about to teleport over to deliver a killing strike. With both arms severed and his tongue lost, how could the two-star Giant King dare to fight any longer? He shot Fang Chen a spiteful glare, decisively turned, and fled in great strides. The No-Desire Venerable hesitated briefly, then gave the Demoness a fierce look, ultimately abandoning her to chase after the two-star Giant King. A look of relief flickered in the Demoness's eyes. How could she dare to linger any longer? She wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, cast a reluctant glance at Fang Chen, and shouted, "Little darling, until we meet again. This old sister will make you my plaything sooner or later." With that, she vanished on the spot. The true words Venerable was also severely injured. She arduously crawled out of a charred crater, but she paid no mind to her own grave wounds and hurriedly rushed over, stumbling, to check on Fang Chen's condition. She and the Demoness had both suffered heavy injuries, how much more so for Fang Chen, who was only a nascent soul cultivator. Looking around, she saw Fang Chen also lying in a deep crater, though he was cradled in Green Pearl's arms. It turned out that at the final moment, Green Pearl had tightly embraced Fang Chen, using her own back to absorb the fatal impact for him. Thus, although Fang Chen's chest was caved in, and his internal organs severely damaged, his life was not in danger. But Green Pearl's situation was not ideal. She had already fallen unconscious. The true words Venerable breathed a slight sigh of relief, gazing at Fang Chen's blood-stained face, and said with gratitude, "We've managed to cling to our lives." Fang Chen wanted to get up, only to find that almost all the bones in his upper body were broken. He couldn't move an inch and could only rely on the large dose of spring returning pills he had swallowed earlier to slowly recover. He first carefully examined Green Pearl's wounds and found that she was not in serious condition, which finally set his heart at ease. The faint relief in the true words Venerable's heart quietly dissipated. Silently, she approached, lifted Fang Chen, and brought him before the Heart's Karma Venerable. Fang Chen looked at the lifeless Heart's Karma Venerable and tentatively called out, "Your soul, is it still here?" As soon as he spoke, a nearly transparent soul the size of a fist slowly floated out from the Heart's Karma Venerable's corpse. The soul body continuously shed motes of light all over, rapidly dissolving. It had persisted without dispersing precisely to wait for Fang Chen. The soul before them was the Heart's Karma Venerable. It spoke with difficulty. "You are safe. That's good." Fang Chen's heart lurched in shock, and he urgently asked, "Weren't you able to seize a new body once? Why are you dispersing?" The Heart's Karma Venerable laughed hoarsely. "Do you truly believe the young Emperor's domain can revive the dead?" It was merely exchanging the chance to possess a body for a physical reconstruction. It turned out that Fang Chen's grand derivation sword array had already severed the Heart's Karma Venerable's chance to seize a new life. This death was the true annihilation. Fang Chen gazed at the fate trance, Verloc clutched in his corpse's arms, his heart a tangled mess, and spoke with a trembling voice. "Why did you save me? Clearly, it was I who killed you." The Heart's Karma Venerable's soul dissipated even faster. Its lower half had completely vanished, and its voice grew hoarser, "Because you are my disciple. This was the last thing this master could do for you." Fang Chen's vision instantly blurred, his soul trembling deeply. His knees bent, and he silently knelt, his voice quivering. "Thank you, master, for saving my life." The Heart's Karma Venerable smiled. "I also thank you for finally still being willing to call me master." Its voice grew fainter and fainter. "Take my spatial storage ring, and beware of the young Emperor. He will not let this go." Fragments of soul light scattered like a rain shower. In a moment, only a face remained, still melting away rapidly. It finally said, "There will be no farewell henceforth. Fang Chen, my disciple, I hope in the next life we can be master and disciple once more. Your teacher is leaving." The last wisp of soul light fell, and the Heart Sin Venerable vanished completely from the world. Tears burst from Fang Chen's eyes as he kowtowed out deeply. "Your disciple, Fang Chen, bids farewell to Master Heart Sin." Beside him, the true words Venerable placed her palms together, bowed silently, and said softly, "Fellow Taoist Heart Sin, may your journey be well." In her eyes, a few glistening tears also shimmered. The Heart Sin Venerable might have killed countless throughout his life, yet to Fang Chen alone he had given the sole kindness of his existence. Even on the verge of death, he still reminded Fang Chen to keep his storage ring safe and be wary of the young Emperor, still thinking only of him. A master like this was worthy of Fang Chen's kneeling obeisance. Time trickled away, moment by moment, for a long while. The true words Venerable said gently, "Fang Chen, do not grieve." The Heart Sin Venerable departed with a smile. For him, this was the best ending. Fang Chen did not reply. The true words Venerable crouched down and gently patted his back. Unexpectedly, Fang Chen suddenly slumped over and leaned against her leg. Looking closely, she saw that the child had fallen into a coma. The true words Venerable carefully lifted his head, keeping his face from the dirt, and murmured, "It has truly been hard on you, experiencing so much in a single day, your mind, spirit worn to the limit." A trace of pity flickered in her eyes. Thinking carefully, Fang Chen had first fought a great battle against Chen Jing and the 18 sons of Taking, then engaged in a life and death struggle with the Heart Sin Venerable. Abel, no sooner had he resolved that than he faced Lu Zhu's revenge, and finally an even more terrifying Tus, Da Giant King, appeared. What grieved Fang Chen most was that the Heart Sin Venerable died for him. Who could have withstood all that? The true words Venerable sighed softly. "I'll take you back to the heavenly mystery pavilion." She picked Fang Chen up, glanced at the remains of the Heart Sin Venerable, then at the unconscious Lu Zhu and the crippled Chen Jing. Summoning a cloud, she swept them all onto it, but held Fang Chen in her own arms. Just then, something stirred in Fang Chen's robe, and the small Qilin wriggled out from the spatial mirror. It used spatial teleportation to dart around the battlefield, and soon returned carrying 3 swords in its arms. The true words Venerable smiled knowingly. "Are all his spirit pets this clever? Don't worry. Would I let your master drop anything?" With a sweep of her sleeve, several more items flew back. One was her Phoenix Feather 9 flame fan, the other 2 were an unignited wishing paper and the mirror sealing the purple Crimson Princess. The purple Crimson Princess gazed at the Heart Sin Venerable's body, her eyes full of confusion, and spoke human speech. I don't understand. He was clearly Fang Chen's mortal enemy, so why did he sacrifice himself to save Fang Chen? In the books of your human race, such a thing is never written. If not for the Heart Sin Venerable sacrificing himself to divert the damage of that one strike, Fang Chen would now be dead. But why would he do that? The true words Venerable looked at Fang Chen in her arms and said softly, "There are things that cannot be described with words. For example, personal magnetism." Hearing this, the purple, crimson princess looked at the unconscious Fang Chen and fell into deep thought. A short while later, at the Heavenly Mystery Pavilion, everyone rushed over at the news, and, seeing Fang Chen returning unconscious, their faces were grim. This was the first time Fang Chen had come back with such severe injuries. The Cloud Skirt Fairy took Fang Chen from her, her eyes brimming with distress. "Venerable, what exactly happened?" The true words Venerable, looking ashamed, threw Chen Jing before everyone and reproached herself. "I have failed as a teacher to have taught such a treacherous and despicable disciple." She briefly recounted the events, emphasizing Chen Jing's deeds. If not for Chen Jing's betrayal, revealing that Fang Chen was the mover of the pillar that meets the sky, none of what followed would have happened. Everyone looked at Chen Jing with blazing fury. Twice his betrayals had plunged Fang Chen into deadly danger. The Cloud Skirt Fairy cast a cold glance at Chen Jing and suppressed her anger, saying, "Wait until Fang Chen wakes up and let him decide. After all, this man is the true words Venerable's disciple, so it's not our place to say much. Everything will be decided when Fang Chen awakens." Before she finished speaking, Bai Luo stormed in, fierce and urgent. Upon hearing that Fang Chen had returned gravely wounded, she had immediately abandoned her seclusion. As the former spirit pet of a great sage, she held little awe for a venerable. Seeing Fang Chen grievously wounded and unconscious, her heart ached with indignation for him. She erupted on the spot. "Does my little brother Fan owe anything to you, master and disciple? Your disciple came to kill him. My little brother spared him, yet he returned kindness with enmity and tried to kill him at every turn. When his master was saved by little Fan, there was no word of thanks, only demands to attack and kill. You have gone too far." The true words Venerable lowered her head in shame, offering no explanation that she and Fang Chen had already reconciled, nor that she had agreed to marry him. She simply remained silent, letting Bai Luo vent her dissatisfaction. Chen Jing, however, was utterly defiant and snorted angrily. "Shut up, you damned demon! Fang Chen, that beast, stole my master. He deserves to die 1,000 times over."
Slap.
The Cloud Skirt Fairy finally couldn't hold back and sent him flying with a flick of her sleeve. She, always so gentle, now had a face full of icy coldness. As she moved to continue, Bai Luo stopped her with a meaningful look and said, "Yun Shang, you go arrange for the Venerable, Fang Chen, and Miss Lu Zhu to receive healing. I want to have a private talk with this Sir Chen Jing." Everyone nodded and with concern took Fang Chen away. In the end, only Bai Luo and Chen Jing remained. Bai Luo's gaze flickered as she coldly interrogated, "It seems you harbor romantic feelings for your master." Chen Jing howled with venomous hatred. "I curse the two of them. They will never have a good end." Bai Luo grabbed his chin and sneered, "Killing a petty man like you will be too easy. I want you to suffer a living hell." Chen Jing glared at her warily. "What are you planning to do?" Bai Luo narrowed her eyes and enunciated each word. "I want you to watch with your own eyes as the woman you love most unites with my little brother Fan." Upon hearing this, Chen Jing's heart felt as if it were being torn apart alive. But a moment later, he regained his senses and sneered at Bai Luo. "My master is a woman of purity and self-respect. She would absolutely never give herself away before marrying Fang Chen. You can give up that thought." Bai Luo chuckled, her face full of mockery. "Who said I need her to be willing?" Chen Jing's gaze sharpened. "What are you going to do to my master? I don't believe that a mere aperture nascent soul like you can force my master." Bai Luo unhurriedly said, "My Tao is the Tao of heart flame, capable of stirring the impulse of desire between men and women." Instead, Chen Jing burst into loud laughter. "What a colossal joke. A nascent soul cultivator, deluding yourself into controlling a deity transformation venerable with madness intent. You have a vivid imagination." Bai Luo curved her lips in a half-smile. "I don't need to control her. I only need to arouse a hint of lust in her." Chen Jing frowned. Madness intent could indeed slightly affect a venerable for a fleeting moment, but it would be swiftly suppressed. Such a trivial lust would have no effect. Unless, suddenly, a thought struck him, and he involuntarily gasped, his face instantly flooded with panic. Could it be?" Bai Luo, seeing his expression, laughed triumphantly. "That's right. Just as your master said, you sold out my little brother Fan in exchange for a wisp of the Heart Sin Venerable's domain." The Heart Sin Venerable's domain can infinitely magnify the dark side of human nature. Tell me, if at the moment your master feels a stir of desire, I activate that domain, will she, gravely wounded as she is, be able to control herself?
Hiss.
Chen Jing's face twisted and he snarled, "You wouldn't dare." Bai Luo slapped him across the face and coldly berated, "Why wouldn't I? You betrayed my little brother Fan, and your master ungratefully hunted him down. Now, letting her spend a night with my little brother is both your punishment and her repayment, 2 birds with 1 stone. Chen Jing, shocked and enraged, roared, "You won't succeed. My master will never give you the Heart Sin Venerable's domain." Bai Luo said calmly, "I have my ways. You just need to watch and see." With that, she kicked him unconscious. Meanwhile, inside a secret chamber, Yan Shang's eye completed a thorough check of Fang Chen's injuries. Her tightly furrowed willow leaf brows gently relaxed. She breathed a sigh of relief and said, "There is much rejuvenation pill medicinal power within my dear Fang's body. His life is safe. He will awaken soon. You need not worry. Disperse, all of you. I alone shall care for him." Hearing this, the others departed one after another, except Zhenyan Zunji, who remained with a face full of shame. She whispered, "I'll wait for him to awaken, give him a few words, then leave." Yansheng Xianzai nodded, gazing at her with a meaningful look, and asked, "Have you and my Fang reconciled?" If it were the Zhenyan Zunji of the past, she would have long since screamed for blood and sought to sever Fang Chen's manhood. Now, when Zhenyan Zunji had carried Fang Chen back to the secret chamber, a myriad thoughts raced through her mind. She had ignored her own grievous injuries to bring him back. Was it truly out of shame? She gave a slight nod, tacitly responding to Yansheng Xianzai's question. Yansheng Xianzai's gaze grew even more profound, and she asked only reconciliation. Zhenyan Zunji lowered her head, feeling vaguely guilty for no reason. It was then she realized that this secret chamber looked familiar. It was the very chamber where she and Yansheng Xianzai had together served Fang Chen for a night. Now, the 3 of them were once again together in this room. It made her slightly flustered. Wasn't this too coincidental? Yansheng Xianzai observed her expression, understanding in her heart, and sighed softly. "I knew it would end up like this between you two." Zhenyan Zunji guiltily explained, "It's not what you imagine between him and me. I have no intention of competing with you for him, so you needn't worry." Yansheng Xianzai gently shook her head. "No need to explain. I understand. Long ago, when you were screaming for my Fang's blood, I guessed that sooner or later you would fall just as I did. Because the more hostility you held toward him, the harder it would be to free yourself once you discovered how wonderful he truly is. Just like me back then." Zhenyan Zunji wanted to defend herself, but found no grounds to deny it. Her willingness to bury the hatchet with Fang Chen stemmed precisely from being moved by his character. She gazed at Fang Chen's face, and truly it was as Yansheng Xianzai had said. The more she had once loathed this countenance, the more she now admired it after knowing the real height. However, she felt she was different from Yansheng Xianzai. She was very level-headed. She had not developed romantic feelings between man and woman, and she would not fall to become Fang Chen's woman like Yansheng Xianzai had. At least, not now. At that moment, Bai Luo entered in haste and urgently asked, "How is my Fan Dai?" Faced with this ill-tempered demon, Zhenyan Zunji silently stepped aside, lest she be met with more cold words and sarcasm. "Yansheng," Xianzai said, "my Fang just needs to rest for a while." Bai Luo gave a slight nod, her gaze falling on Zhenyan Zunji, her expression unfriendly. "Xinnai Zunji is my Fan Dai's master. His legacy should all be inherited by my Fan Dai, am I right?" Zhenyan Zunji said nothing more. She summoned Xinnai Zunji's body from the cloud and pointed to the fortune-transferring lock in his embrace and the spatial storage ring on his finger. "These all belong to Fang Chen." Bai Luo, however, stretched out her hand again. "And that domain too. It should also be inherited by my Fan Dai." Zhenyan Zunji hesitated a moment. Strictly speaking, that strand of domain was something she had seized from Chen Jing's hands and was not part of the legacy. But she felt indebted. How could she quibble over such relatively unimportant items? So she readily handed over the jade slip. With the items in hand, a weight lifted from Bai Luo's heart. She turned to Yansheng Xianzai and said, "Yansheng, go see if Lu Zhu has awakened yet. I'll look after Fang Chen for a while." Yansheng Xianzai was surprised inwardly. Why would Bai Luo compete with her to care for Fang Chen? She was Fang Chen's woman, the one who should most naturally stay and tend to him. Bai Luo was a married woman. There was no reason for her to vie for this. Her beautiful eyes swiveled, and she immediately guessed that Bai Luo intended to do something rather inconvenient and needed to send her away. Glancing at Zhenyan Zunji, who had not been dismissed, she surmised it likely involved her. Without hesitation, she said, "All right. In any case, Bai Luo wouldn't harm Fang Chen. Let her do as she wished." As she exited, Yansheng Xianzai discovered that Chen Jing was bound to a stone pillar outside the secret chamber. His mouth was sealed, unable to speak. His expression was exceedingly frantic. He struggled desperately, his nostrils emitting sounds, his eyes filled with urgent pleading, as if it were a matter of life and death. Yansheng Xianzai pondered briefly and suddenly realized what Bai Luo was up to. She turned, intending to go back and stop it, but after a moment's thought, she halted. Emotionally, Bai Jai is not wrong. Rationally, it would be nothing but good for Heavenly Secrets Pavilion to gain another powerful woman at the Divine Transformation Realm. With that thought, she strolled away. She left Chen Jing behind, frantically using nasal sounds to warn Zhenyan Zunji inside to flee quickly. Yet, Zhenyan Zunji knew nothing of this. She was watching Bai Luo nervously, her intuition telling her that Bai Luo had come for her. But strangely, Bai Luo paid her no attention. Instead, she sat quietly by Fang Chen's bed, gazing silently at his sunken chest. Zhenyan Zunji was utterly bewildered. How could she know that at this moment, Bai Luo was using Fang Chen's injuries to envision the dangers he had faced? She continuously imagined how despicably Chen Jing had conspired against Fang Chen, pushing him into desperate straits twice. Then she imagined how Zhenyan Zunji had been so ungrateful. After Fang Chen saved her, she showed no gratitude, instead screaming for his blood. This succession of provocations caused a tempest of emotions to surge within her heart. Finally, after the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, her fury peaked, and the madness will belonging to an aperture, nascent soul, was unleashed. A ripple of fluctuation spread out, sweeping over both Fang Chen and Zhenyan Zunji. Zhenyan Zunji felt a thread of madness will brush past her body. A wave of heat immediately surged in her lower abdomen, and her gaze involuntarily fell upon Fang Chen. She blushed with shame and inwardly wondered, how can there be such a shameful madness will? As she suppressed the invading madness will within her, she asked Bai Luo, "You've got ni mad, do you need help?" Bai Luo turned around, her eyes blazing with fervent, demanding madness will, almost unable to control herself. In her hands, she clutched two items. One was Xin Nai Zun Ji's jade slip, and the other a spatial talisman. Relying on her last shred of consciousness, she crushed both items simultaneously. Zhenyan Zunji, completely off guard, stared at the jade slip being crushed and cried out, "Stop! What are you doing?" With a crack, the jade slip shattered, and the heart, Sin domain, swept forth, instantly striking Zhenyan Zunji. She tried to resist, but with her injuries, a portion of the domain still flooded into her body. Had it only been that, it might have been bearable, but combined with that strand of heart fire, the heat within her heart flared up more than tenfold. In an instant, her eyes blazed with heat, and she lost all resistance. Without resistance, the heart Sin domain completely invaded, and the emotions inside her, much like oil poured on flames, reached their peak. No, this can't be. She resisted forcefully, but her body, out of control, staggered toward Fang Chen. Fang Chen, in a coma, had been hit by both the madness will and the domain in succession, and he too groggily awakened. If Zhenyan Zunji couldn't resist, how could he? Gazing at Zhenyan Zunji approaching him, Fang Chen's breath quickened. He grabbed her and pushed her down onto the bed. As for Bai Luo, the spatial talisman she crushed at the same time teleported her away. Given her intimate relationship with Huang Quan, she was naturally randomly transported to Huang Quan's secret chamber. Inside the room, only Fang Chen and Zhenyan Zunji remained. Nothing but dry tinder and a blazing fire. Outside, Chen Jing, bound to the stone pillar, heard from within the chamber his master's coy exclamation, "Fang Chen, wake up, we can't do this. Re-ip." The response was the sound of clothes being torn. Chen Jing's eyes bulged out, and he struggled desperately, trying to throw off the chains. But without his cultivation, how could he break free? Then his pleading master's small mouth was suddenly stopped up, and only muffled, indecipherable sounds could be heard. Chen Jing could already imagine the scene. His eyes stared so wide they seemed about to split, his feet stomping the ground. Yet he could stop nothing. He could only listen as his master's clothes were torn piece by piece, and her intermittent, tender cries echoed out. Finally, when all sound had faded, a sharp and raw, not quavering cry tore through the hidden chamber and soared into the clouds. Chen Jing's eyes split with rage. A scream of absolute agony erupted from his heart. He watched with his own eyes as the woman he had pursued all his life became Fang Chen's woman, and it was his own heart karma domain that sealed it. No, Chen Jing bellowed, his heart and soul rent asunder. Bai Luo had deliberately stripped away the soundproofing barrier, letting every rustle and whisper ring out with brutal clarity in his ears. His heart felt gouged by needles, wishing only for death. Just then, an evening breeze swept through, and the garden blooms swayed gently, unfurling their petals in the wind, dancing and blooming in wild, untamed freedom. At dawn the next day, sunlight flooded the land, the flowers hung low, their luster dimmed, their stamens clasping the early winter's white frost. Zhenyan Zunj looked down at her chest, mottled with finger marks, and her mind blanked. She could not believe she had become Fang Chen's woman. Fang Chen, too, was dazed, staring blankly at Zhenyan Zunj. Their eyes met briefly, then each averted their face, unable to look at the other. Though at first they were caught in the heart karma domain, later they had been fully lucid, yet they still continued. Fang Chen gritted his teeth, refused to shy away, seized her hand and said from now on, "Come live at the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion, together with Yunsheng." Zhenyan Zunj gently freed her hand from his grip. "No need. I do not require you to take responsibility. This is Bai Luo's doing, not your true intent. She had understood everything. Bai Luo wanted her to pay for her past deeds." She bore no resentment. On the contrary, she felt a strange sense of relief. In this way, no one could any longer say she still owed Fang Chen anything, right? She glanced at the tatters of her dress strewn across the floor and silently produced a new set of robes to wear. Fang Chen asked, "You're leaving?" Zhenyan Zunj nodded, back to Moon, washing lake for closed cultivation. Let us treat today as if it never happened. How could Fang Chen let her go? He had taken her first time. After a moment's thought, he said, "If you leave, what will we do when the Two-Star Titan King strikes again?" Zhenyan Zunj paused in the act of dressing, worry surging in her chest. That Two-Star Titan King would not let Fang Chen live. He could attack again at any moment. Without a venerable at his side, Fang Chen was as good as dead. And who knew if Lu Zhu had awakened yet? She truly could not leave with peace of mind. While she deliberated, Fang Chen wrapped his arms around her waist from behind and drew her into his embrace. "Stay with me a little longer." Zhenyan Zun's face flushed red, and she slapped his hands away. "I can stay, but do not touch me." Fang Chen agreed without hesitation. "All right, let's just lie down a while longer. I swear I won't touch you." "It's a bit cold. I'll just hold you so you don't catch a chill. And I vow a poisonous oath not to move." "I'll just stay outside. I promise I won't go in." The next moment, Zhenyan Zunj closed her eyes and softly let out a long, quivering, melodious note. Half a day later, she bit her lower lip and could not suppress a muttered curse. A man's mouth is a deceiving ghost. Fang Chen chuckled lowly. "That's only because you were willing to be deceived, isn't it?" "You're so wicked." Her voice trembled slightly. "Fang Chen, I feel like I can't stop anymore." "Don't worry, it's the Heavenly Fox bloodline." Her breath caught. "Ah, then how do we stop?" Fang Chen's voice rang out, steady and firm. "Leave it to me." A full day later, Zhenyan Zunj leaned against the stone wall, utterly spent, watching Fang Chen fast asleep with a tiny snow-white beast, Bai Tuanzi, still clutched in his mouth. Amused and exasperated, she raised a hand and poked his forehead. "Are you trying to turn this day next year into my death anniversary? Such torment." Even her venerable body felt on the verge of falling apart. Fang Chen groggily awoke and spat out the little white beast, Bai Tuanzi. Dark rings rimmed his eyes and his voice was faint. "We can't go on. Not only is my life force draining away, but my 7-orifice nascent soul cultivation is about to burst through beyond my control." After 2 full days of unrelenting dual cultivation, the Heavenly Fox bloodline had voraciously siphoned his cultivation, forcibly pushing Fang Chen straight to the peak of the 7-orifice nascent soul stage. He was just one final push away from stepping into the 8-orifice nascent soul realm. But he had not yet found his own Tao. If he entered the 8-orifice nascent soul like this, the ancient saint would randomly assign him a Tao. Such a Tao was nearly impossible to advance to the divine transformation stage. Just then, a knock sounded outside the secret chamber. It was Fairy Yunsheng. "Fang Lang, the Jiuxiang stronghold, master of 10,000 fragrance stronghold, has been waiting 2 days for you." In a moment, the stone door swung open. Zhenyan Zunj, clad in a fresh yellow dress, flashed out in a blur. As soon as her eyes crossed with Fairy Yunsheng's, shame burned her cheeks and she twisted her face away, flinging a line back into the chamber. "I'm returning to Moon, washing lake for closed cultivation. Do not come looking for me again." With that, she teleported away, fleeing the Heavenly Mechanism Pavilion as if escaping. Fairy Yunsheng gave a slight shake of her head with a sigh. "What's there to be shy about? We have already shared one husband, the two of us together. Fang Chen came out right behind, too embarrassed to meet her eyes, and said merely, I'll go see the Jiu Zhang stronghold master now. Earlier, after relocating the sky-connecting dark pillar to 10,000 Fragrance stronghold, he had been swept up in a torrent of events and nearly forgotten entirely about the Sura clan in the stronghold. Just as he turned to leave, he noticed outside the chamber, bound to a stone pillar, a young man with matted hair, bloodshot eyes, wide and hideously darkening skin. Who else could it be but Chen Jing? Yet he was already dead. His mouth was caked with dried black blood. A great pool of bloody water had spread across the floor, and in that blood lay half a severed tongue. That face was a mask of agony and fury, features knotted together in a ghastly, ferocious snarl. Chen Jing, unable to endure the inhuman torture, had chosen to bite off his own tongue and take his own life. Expressionless, Fang Chen flicked a finger. A wisp of netherworld ghost flame coiled over and reduced that corpse to ashes. Not a shred of pity lingered in his eyes. Everything was Chen Jing's own doing. There was no one else to blame. Sect Master Hall. Fang Chen flashed into the hall. The Jiu Zhang stronghold master, who had been waiting for 2 long days, exhaled deeply in relief. Young Master Fang is finally free. Fang Chen lowered himself into a chair, propping his weight and massaging his temples. Jiu Zhang stronghold master, how many strongholds have you reached? The Jiu Zhang stronghold master looked at Fang Chen's darkened eye sockets and his clearly overextended state, worry spreading on her face. Young Master Fang, are you all right? Shall I prepare something to restore you? Dozens of strongholds are awaiting your guidance. Your health must not fail. Fang Chen gave a sheepish cough. I simply cultivated a bit too strenuously. It's nothing, nothing. Have you recorded the coordinates of the strongholds willing to descend to the lower realm? The Jiu Zhang stronghold master drew out a map, still muttering, no wonder young Master Fang is so formidable, to cultivate all the way to utter exhaustion, truly unheard of even I. And the heavenly realm. Fang Chen tactically lifted a teacup for a sip, then took the map and scrutinized it, over 80 strongholds. The Jiu Zhang stronghold master's tone turned rueful. There are over 20 other strongholds that refuse to descend. Some fear becoming strangers in the Middle Earth, that migrating the entire clan will bring catastrophe, so they would rather cling to their familiar strongholds and fight the ants. Ant giants. Others trust their stockpiled shelters, confident they can survive the great hunt. And a few have even been swayed by traitors within to surrender to the ancient giants. Fang Chen nodded faintly. This came as no surprise. The same rice feeds 100 different souls. Each stronghold had its own reasoning. He did not press further. That over 80 strongholds were willing was already a fine achievement, and the Jiu Zhang stronghold master must have expended immense effort to persuade them. Those unwilling to come, let them be. I will make a few preparations, then go to guide them down. 2 days remain until the great hunt. There is still time. He then brought out more yin energy vegetables. You have worked hard, Senior Jiu Zhang. Jiu Zhang was overwhelmed by the gesture and hastily tried to refuse. You have already found a refuge for our Asura clan. My gratitude is boundless. How could I accept anything more? Fang Chen pressed the gifts into her hands. Take them. When the ancient giant catastrophe descends, I will still be counting on your aid, Senior. Only then did Jiu Zhang accept, but she in turn produced 3 thin black wafers. The scent-eating talent bloodline I gave you before. You must have exhausted it by now. I have prepared 3 more as a token of thanks. Fang Chen's eyes lit up. This was a treasure indeed. Especially with that Tus, Star Titan King still at large, the one who could freely shrink and expand his body, he would surely come hunting again. If he could use this item to echo the aura of ancient giants, he could detect the Titan King's movements in time and fear no ambush hidden in shadow. My thanks, Senior Jiu Zhang. Fang Chen solemnly cupped his hands and received the gift. Sect Master Fang. At that moment, a figure wreathed in yin energy swept into the hall. It was Feng Yuanzong of the Great Yin Sect. Clutching a letter, shimmering with Buddhist radiance, he rushed straight to the Sect Master's hall, under the guidance of a disciple. Sect Master Fang, the White Horse Temple has sent a notification to our Great Yin Sect, ordering us to shut down all teleportation arrays to the Heavenly Secret Pavilion immediately, starting today. H.M. Fang Chen grabbed the letter and unfolded it. It demanded, in a tone close to a command, that the Great Yin Sect close its teleportation passage to the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. Feng Yuanzong urgently added, I've inquired with other sects. Every power in our taking Great Prefecture that possesses a large-scale teleportation array has received orders from the White Horse Temple. Sect Master Fang is... Is this directed at you? Fang Chen's expression darkened. Wasn't it obvious? The warning from the Vajradharma seal was about to come true. A Bodhisattva was coming to convert him personally. Shutting down all teleportation arrays was to cut off his escape route via the arrays. Without teleportation arrays, as a mere nascent soul cultivator, no matter how he fled, he could not outrun a Bodhisattva. Fang Chen rose solemnly, murmuring to himself, what must come cannot be escaped. He turned to the 9 Fragrance village chief, his voice steady. We cannot stay long at the heavenly secret pavilion. Village chief, please wait a moment. I will gather my things and return immediately. In the blink of an eye, he returned to the secret chamber and stood before the body of Venerable Xin Nai. Pressing his palms together, he bowed deeply, then retrieved the fate-shifting lock from the Venerable's embrace. Then he removed the spatial storage ring from the Venerable's index finger. Venerable Xin Nai had repeatedly emphasized before his death not to forget this storage ring. Could it contain an extremely powerful legacy? Fang Chen glanced at the incantation on the back of the ring, and with a thought, he opened it. His soul reached inside, revealing countless treasures arrayed within. 4th and 5th grade spiritual pills were everywhere, along with many spiritual artifacts that could make nascent soul cultivators fight to the death over them. Even a jade talisman containing a strike from a deity transformation cultivator. This was Fang Chen's first time truly receiving a deity transformation, Venerable's legacy. His gaze was suddenly drawn to a mountain. It was a 30-meter tall hill shimmering with multicolored lightning, a thunder mountain woven from lightning. Though Venerable Xin Nai did not cultivate the Tao of Thunder, the thunderous power he possessed was countless times greater than Venerable Lion Jing, who was at the 4 declines of heaven, man. This entire thunder mountain was more than enough to complete the cultivation of yin-yang heavens, and even fully charge the heart of the heavenly abyss with thunder power. No wonder Venerable Xin Nai had insisted repeatedly that the storage ring be given to him. So the Venerable had long sensed that Fang Chen cultivated thunder-based divine abilities and required vast amounts of thunder energy. This was the most important relic the old man left for Fang Chen. Fang Chen looked at Venerable Xin Nai's remains and gave another deep bow. Thank you, Master. He sat cross-legged beside the body and silently began circulating yin-yang heavens. Meanwhile, as Fang Chen had hurried back from Daking on the other side, 3 figures were stealthily approaching the heavenly secret pavilion. They were an elder and 2 younger ones, their bodies emitting a faint pill fragrance. They were Vice Palace Master Yu of the Pill Continent and her 2 disciples. They had actually never left the Taking Great Prefecture, but had concealed themselves quietly. Their goal was simple, wait for Fang Chen to be alone so they could bundle him up and take him away. Vice Palace Master Yu rubbed her temples, rather frustrated. Who knew this guy could run so much? As soon as the heavenly mountain battlefield ended, I waited for him to be alone, but he upped and went to the Great Wilderness Prefecture. When I finally got word of his return and rushed to the heavenly secret pavilion, he had already left with Venerable Xin Nai. A few days ago, I learned he returned gravely injured and was recuperating at the pavilion. Surely this time he won't be able to run. Recalling her nearly month of running around, she couldn't help but feel annoyed. When I catch him, I'll stuff him into a pill furnace and shake him to death. Let's go. At this very moment, deep within the myriad tribulations, sacred hall, the hall master, Venerable 3 Coins, and all the conscious Atorifis, nascent soul elders, were gathered before a stone door. With a rumble, the stone door swung open. A burly, bald figure burst out, wreathed in afterimages of thunder. He threw his head back and laughed. The 5th chapter of the 6 heavenly thunders perfected. Everyone's faces showed excitement. 5 of the 6 heavenly thunders mastered, truly worthy of a Venerable. Aside from the lost yin-yang heavens, the Venerable has perfected every thunder chapter. Venerable Zinmo was quite smug, chuckling. Did Zai not mock our myriad tribulations, sacred hall's 6 heavenly thunders, saying they were not as perfected as an outsider like Fang Chen could learn? Now he won't be laughing. In this world, besides me, who else can? Before his laughter died, atop the main peak of the myriad tribulations, sacred hall, a bolt of lightning suddenly shot into the sky, piercing the clouds. Within the lightning, faintly visible, mysterious runes swirled and shifted. These were not the script of the Middle Earth nor of Hell, but an entirely new script found in neither realm. The hall master gasped in shock, his voice full of disbelief. That thing, it's reacting. Didn't the founding master say it would only respond when all 6 heavenly thunders were perfected? But how is that possible? Yin-yang heavens has been lost for centuries. Even if someone cultivated the other 5, this one couldn't be completed. Venerable Xin Mo, standing aside, was also stunned. He closed his eyes and sensed for a moment, then suddenly opened them, staring fiercely to the southeast, his chest tight with frustration, that direction. The heavenly secret pavilion, Fang Chen, that dog has completed all 6 heavenly thunders. He nearly coughed up a mouthful of blood in anger. He thought mastering 5 would be enough to silence the critics, but Fang Chen had completed all 6. Go, invite that fellow to the Myriad Tribulations Sacred Hall. Venerable Xin Mo waved his hand irritably. They all understood why Venerable Xin Mo was inviting Fang Chen, not only for the yin-yang heavens, but more importantly, for that mysterious object that had not reacted in 1,000 and years. According to sect records, it had fallen from the heavenly realm and was deeply enigmatic. No one knew what would happen once Fang Chen activated it with the 6 heavenly thunders. In the secret chamber of the heavenly secret pavilion, yin-yang heavens, Fang Chen shouted lowly. Instantly, black and white Teiji diagrams materialized around his body, linking together to form a spherical shield that protected him at the center, identical to the one Xia Kyogi had used to vanish into concealment. Excitement flickered in Fang Chen's eyes. The 6 heavenly thunders are all perfected. According to the method, unifying them rivals a heaven rank technique. But how do they unify? By simultaneously unleashing all 6 thunder divine abilities. As he pondered, a chill sensation washed over him. Fang Chen retracted his thunder, waved his hand to open the stone door, and sure enough, Lu Zhu stood outside. She was now somewhat at a loss. The appearance of the 2-star Giant King had disrupted her plan with Fang Chen. If the opponent fled back to the heavenly realm, even if she returned with Venerable Xin Nai's head, it would be meaningless. Fang Chen stood, his tone steady. Don't panic yet. Wait until the contest between Venerable Wu Yu and the 2-star Giant King is resolved, then we'll plan accordingly. If the Giant King dies, all the better. We'll proceed as planned. If he flees to the heavenly realm, then I will go up there myself and retrieve your soul. Lu Zhu's anxious heart finally settled. Though she didn't know how Fang Chen would retrieve her soul from a 5-star Giant King, the words spoken by Fang Chen gave her inexplicable reassurance. I'll accompany you to move the sky, piercing pillar, in case the 2-star Giant King suddenly appears. Fang Chen shook his head slightly, speaking seriously. It's best you don't appear with me in front of those villages, lest there be ancient giant spies among them who might report your situation to the heavenly realm. Then without the 2-star Giant King you'll be exposed. With so many villages, a mix of all sorts, it's hard to guarantee there are no eyes planted by the ancient giants. Lu Zhu frowned worriedly. Then what if you encounter the 2-star Giant King? Fang Chen's mouth curled into a sly grin as he teased. Are you worried about me, wife Lu Zhu? Lu Zhu stamped her foot, both angry and embarrassed. How do you start being improper after just a few words? Venerable Zhenyan was tormented by you for 2 days, and you're still not satisfied. Fang Chen's face flushed red. How did Lu Zhu hear about that? Too embarrassed to stay, he coughed twice and instructed, then stay at the heavenly secret pavilion and wait for my news. With that, he quickly flashed away to the sect master's hall. The pavilion master of the heavenly secret pavilion and Fairy Yun Cheng were already waiting in the hall to see him off. Fairy Yun Cheng said softly, her eyes full of tenderness, My dear Fang, after guiding the Asura clan, make a trip to the mainland. Don't keep Lady Yu waiting too long. Also, regarding Gong Kei, go and persuade her to return yourself. She is quite pitiful all alone on the mainland. Fang Chen nodded slightly. I know. After pondering for a moment, he added, Take extra care of Nangong Zhuoyan. No matter how lacking the sibling affection between her and Chen Jing, they are still blood siblings. She cannot be untouched by Chen Jing's death. Fairy Yunsheng smiled gently. You are always so considerate, my dear Fang. I will go and stay with her soon. I won't let her be sad alone. Fang Chen felt relieved and declared in a clear voice, Then cultivate well. I'll be back shortly. 9 Fragrance Stronghold Master, let's set off. Fang Chen and the 9 Fragrance Stronghold Master arrived before the teleportation array in the underground palace. He attempted to contact the arrays of the other sects, and as Feng Yuanzong had said, most sects had cut off their connections with the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion's array only moon. Ash Lake remained open. Even the great Yin sect dared not defy the Bodhisattva's decree and had sealed its formation. In the end, only your own people are reliable. Fang Chen sighed inwardly, having no choice but to pass through Moonwash Lake and then head south to the sky-reaching Black Pillar. With a flash of light from the array, the two vanished from the spot. After emerging from the teleportation array, Fang Chen arrived at Moonwash Lake, inside the White Tower. Venerable Zhenyan had just finished bathing, her wet long hair cascading down as she sat dazedly before the spirit pool, the wild scenes replaying in her mind. She couldn't help but cover her face, wishing she could find a crack in the ground to slip into, muttering, "How could I've obediently let him toy with me for 2 whole days? That guy, he's a thief, stealing my fish and then stealing my person." She gazed at the yin-essence spirit fish in the water, talking to herself with a mix of shame and anger. Earlier, when Fang Chen used the void fishing rod to save Lu Zhu, she had recognized it. It was the very fish hook that had, right before her eyes, hooked away her yin-essence spirit fish. She never expected that the owner of the fish hook was Fang Chen. After stealing her fish, now he's stealing her person. Would he steal her heart next? "You little thief, you wicked little thief, I won't see you ever again. Let's see how you steal from me then." Just then, a familiar voice suddenly came from outside. "Zhenyan, my dear wife, open the door, it's Fang Chen." Venerable Zhenyan's delicate body jolted. She abruptly stood up, doubting her ears. That voice was Fang Chen. He had come knocking again? Venerable Zhenyan backed away repeatedly, as if a flood or savage beast was approaching, her voice trembling. "Why, you still dare to come? I told you not to seek me out again." Fang Chen stood outside the chamber, his tone tinged with melancholy. "I only came to bid you farewell. The Bodhisattva is coming to deliver me. Perhaps this is our last." Before the words even ended, the stone door immediately swung open. Venerable Zhenyan's face showed urgency, and she blurted out, "Are you just going to let him convert you?" But as soon as the words left her mouth, she realized that Fang Chen's face held no trace of urgency. Instead, he looked at her with a faint, amused smile and said, "You're rather worried I might be delivered away, aren't you?" Venerable Zhenyan then realized that Fang Chen had deliberately provoked her to open the door. Flustered and angry, she raised her hand to close the stone door again, scolding, "You calamity, you'd better sever your 6 roots as soon as possible." But before the stone door could shut, Fang Chen darted inside like a wisp of smoke, his large hand boldly wrapping around her soft, slender waist and pulling her into his embrace. Venerable Zhenyan was instantly held tight by a blazing warmth, her body growing limp and tender, unable to muster even a hint of strength. "Let go of me." She struggled symbolically a couple of times before yielding. Fang Chen lifted her chin slightly and chuckled softly. "Your father was right. Your mouth may reject me, but your body is very honest." Venerable Zhenyan lightly pounded his chest, mortified. "You're still teasing me. Had I known, I would have followed the other factions and sealed off your heavenly secrets pavilion's teleportation array too." Fang Chen merely smiled without speaking, quietly holding the beauty in his arms. The experiences he shared with Venerable Zhenyan and Fairy Yunchang were somewhat similar, but the difference was that after Fairy Yunchang united with him, she was as gentle as water, while Venerable Zhenyan still showed a little resistance, like a kitten unwilling to be tamed, occasionally scratching him with her tiny claws. "Hey, are you really not worried about the Bodhisattva delivering you?" Venerable Zhenyan reined in her embarrassment and said seriously, "After I received the notice from White Horse RSE Temple, I broke into a sweat for you. In all my years in taking Great Prefecture, I've never seen the Bodhisattva leave White Horse Temple. His intent to convert you is absolutely serious." Fang Chen also turned solemn and asked, "Do you have the confidence to handle him?" One of his purposes in coming to Venerable Zhenyan was to discuss countering the Bodhisattva's deliverance. Among the venerables of taking Great Prefecture, the one he trusted the most was undoubtedly Zhenyan. But Venerable Zhenyan shook her head and admitted candidly, "I'm not confident. Back when we ascended to the heavenly realm together, he suffered the lightest injuries. It's hard to say what his current strength is, but without a doubt, it surpasses mine and Venerable Zinni's." Fang Chen nodded slightly. Earlier, the Bodhisattva's single Buddhist chant had thrown Venerable Zinni into a dazed stupor for several breaths. In a direct confrontation, Venerable Zinni would likely have perished already. Thus, the Bodhisattva's power was undoubtedly above Zhenyan and Zinni. "It doesn't matter. Even if you can stall him for a while, that's enough," Fang Chen said. "As fellow venerables of Taikang Great Prefecture, even if you can't defeat him, he won't do anything to you." Who would have thought? Venerable Zhenyan's eyes showed complexity, and she whispered, "I fear I can't help you." Oh, Venerable Zhenyan actually wouldn't help him. Could it be that their bond wasn't deep enough? Fang Chen chuckled, leaning close to her ear and said, "Let's talk on the bed." Venerable Zhenyan paused for a moment before realizing his meaning. She angrily stomped on Fang Chen's instep, her face blushing as she spat, "Filthy scoundrel." After glaring fiercely at Fang Chen, she explained the reason. "It's not that I don't want to help you, but I can't. I once promised the Bodhisattva that I would do something for him. If I dare to shield you, he will certainly demand I fulfill that promise, telling me to stay out of it. and it's not even ruled out that he would make me help capture you. Fang Chen frowned, puzzled. How did you end up owing such a huge favor? An unrestricted promise is extremely heavy, especially for someone like Venerable Zhenyan, who must honor her promises. It's even more fatal. If the Bodhisattva demanded her to do something near certain death, whether she did it or not, it would be a dead end. Venerable Zhenyan sighed lightly, resting her forehead on Fang Chen's shoulder, and said wearily, why else? In my entire life, I never begged anyone, except for Chen Jing, for whose sake I made an exception and sought the Bodhisattva's help. Chen Jing had once failed to break through to divinity transformation. When he recultivated, he was too eager for quick success and suffered Kai deviation several times, making her cultivation impossible. So I asked the Bodhisattva to intervene, sealing away his memories of past cultivation, making him believe it was his first time cultivating, and only then did he get back on the right path. Fang Chen suddenly understood. No wonder, when he had dealings with Chen Jing before, he hadn't sensed the slightest mentality of someone recultivating. Venerable Zhenyan sighed again and continued. Later, when he stumbled upon the misunderstanding of you and me in bed, he was deeply provoked, and the sealed memories were unlocked, allowing him to recall the past and his covetous feelings toward me that ultimately evolved into the current situation. Fang Chen was thoroughly enlightened. No wonder Chen Jing's personality had changed so drastically, and his cultivation had skyrocketed in a short time, so he had recovered his past memories. He gently patted Venerable Zhenyan's back, kissing her forehead as he said, you sacrificed so much for him, yet he never understood. It must have been so hard for you. Agreeing to the Bodhisattva's unrestricted request was literally risking her life to reopen a cultivation path for Chen Jing. It was a pity he did not cherish it. Venerable Zhenyan, opening her heart for the first time, felt her heart soften, her body limply nestled in Fang Chen's arms, no longer resisting. It's all past now and no longer matters. Now the question is, what should you do? Apart from the Grand Libationer, no one can protect you from the Bodhisattva. However, the Grand Libationer strictly follows the laws of the prefecture, never favoring anyone. The Bodhisattva's act of delivering someone is not prohibited by the Imperial Astrological Bureau, so he cannot help you either. Fang Chen deeply agreed. The most typical example was the Grand Libationer of the Great Wilderness Prefecture, that drunkard. To check and balance the 6 demonic venerables, she didn't intervene directly, but let the 1,000-year-old ginkgo tree control them. Under such circumstances, even the Grand Libationer was powerless to help. And Zhang Wuya, at this time, was nowhere to be found. Lu Zhu was also inconvenient to bring along. He could only resist the Bodhisattva's conversion alone. Zhenyan Zunj frowned slightly and asked, why don't you go hide in another province? Fang Chen shook his head, replying calmly, what good would fleeing to another province do? Can I stay away from taking Great Province forever? The Bodhisattva is from this province. He can simply wait at the Celestial Mystery Pavilion for me to return. Then, what should we do? Zhenyan Zun's frown deepened. Fang Chen's gaze flickered, and he said in a deep voice, rest assured, I have a way of retreat. He released Zhenyan Zunj and took out a fist-sized crystal, filled with holy aura. It was the Saint Crystal fragment capable of reversing ancient giants. He cut off a small piece, pressed it into Zhenyan Zunj's hand, and carefully instructed, in the future, when you encounter a giant king, try to inject this into its body. If the opponent was transformed from an Asura clan member, it will revert to the Asura clan. That way, you might turn danger into safety. A flash of delight crossed Zhenyan Zunj's eyes. She had personally witnessed Fang Chen use this item to turn a 3-crowned Asura king back from its giant king state. Facing such a transformed giant king, this item gave her a sliver of hope to survive a desperate situation. Thank you, Fang Chen. Zhenyan Zunj accepted it joyfully. Fang Chen gave a slight smile. This was his second reason for seeking out Zhenyan Zunj. Zhenyan Zunj was already his woman, and the coming calamity involved the most brutal giant kings. He couldn't afford to be stingy. Suddenly, he noticed a spirit pool in the chamber, where 9 spirit fish glowed with spiritual light as they swam. Fang Chen froze for a moment and muttered, these fish look awfully familiar. Zhenyan Zunj threw him a sidelong glare and snorted, more than familiar, they taste pretty good too. After you ate one, didn't your nascent soul realm cultivation leap forward by more than half? Fang Chen's face showed surprise. Eh, how do you know? Back when Zhenyan Zunj had summoned him, and he was traveling to Moonwash Lake with Hua Wang, he had casually cast a line and hooked a spirit fish, which they roasted and ate on the spot. That spirit fish's appearance. He looked again at the cheerful spirit fish in the pool, and his expression congealed. The one I hooked was your spirit fish, Fang Chen blurted out in shock. Zhenyan Zunj replied crossly, "You finally remember, you little thief. I raised these to break through the heavenly decline second decay realm, and right in front of my eyes you caught and devoured one." Fang Chen laughed in spite of himself, pulled Zhenyan Zunj back into his arms, and teased, "First I snared your spirit fish, then I hooked you, my beautiful mermaid. Fate has bound us together." Zhenyan Zunj wriggled out of his embrace and snapped, "Who's your mermaid? Enough, you should leave, and don't come looking for me again." "I'm serious, before we have a proper status, we can't keep acting so reckless." Her face revealed a complex expression. Fang Chen understood her concerns. She was not the little-known cloud dress fairy. She was a widely respected venerable, watched by all of Taking Great Province. How could she do as she pleased? Fang Chen felt a pang of reluctance. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the 9 Pinuan spirit fish gathering near them, examining the pair with curiosity. His gaze shifted, and he asked, "These fish haven't reached full potency yet, have they?" If they had, she would have already used them. Zhenyan Zunj nodded regretfully. "They still need more than half a year to mature. Only mature ones can help me break through the heavenly decline second decay, but we can't wait that long now." She had poured enormous effort into raising the Pinuan spirit fish, never expecting the ancient giant catastrophe would completely disrupt her plans. Fang Chen mused for a moment and said slowly, "Not yet mature. I do have a method I can try. With luck, we might be able to force them to mature." Zhenyan Zun's eyes lit up, and she blurted, "Really?" She desperately dreamed of breaking through the heavenly decline second decay as soon as possible. Fang Chen's lips curved into a teasing smile. "Then can I come visit you after this?" Zhenyan Zunj bit her red lips lightly, struggled for a moment, and then surrendered. "You scoundrel, always trying to get the better of me. Fine. If you can mature the spirit fish and help me reach the heavenly decline second decay, I won't care about gossip any longer." Fang Chen's gaze instantly blazed with heat. That meant he could seek out Zhenyan Zunj for that asterisk anytime from now on. He suddenly filled with motivation and said mysteriously, "Close your eyes, I'll give you a surprise." Zhenyan Zunj's heart filled with anticipation. Since Fang Chen said so, he must be quite confident. She obediently shut her eyes. Fang Chen took out a grain of world soil, his eyes gleaming with hope. Back then, when Guziner smeared world soil on her chest, she transformed from flat as a board to a bountiful bosom. Making these spirit fish grow quickly shouldn't be difficult, right? Watching the spirit fish crowd near, Fang Chen tossed the grain of world soil into the pool. The Pinuan spirit fish mistook it for food and scrambled for it. The largest of them swallowed the world soil in one gulp. Spirit fish have little cultivation. Unlike Guziner, who is a nascent soul fairy, the world soil's effect was immediate and dramatic. The fish swelled visibly at an astonishing speed, quickly growing from the length of a chopstick to 3 feet long, radiating an overwhelming spiritual pressure, unmistakably a mature form. But before Fang Chen could celebrate, the fish kept expanding. In just 2 breaths, it reached 10 feet and was still swelling madly. Fang Chen's heart lurched. He had a very bad feeling. As expected, the fish could not withstand such rapid expansion and exploded on the spot, its vivid blood spreading rapidly across the whole spirit pool. As the bloody water diffused, the other spirit fish were forcibly exposed to the world soil and began ballooning one after another. Before long, all of them mutated and burst in quick succession. An entire pool of Pinuan spirit fish, all dead. Fang Chen stood there dumbfounded. These spirit fish were too fragile. This prank had gone too far. "Are they done yet?" Zhenyan Zunj was itching to open her eyes. Fang Chen guiltily replied, "Aha, now slowly count to 10, and you'll see your surprise." Zhenyan Zunj, overjoyed, hastily began counting down. 10, 9, 8. Fang Chen dared not linger. He stealthily slipped out of the secret chamber, activated Shadow in the clouds, and decisively fled for his life. Sensing Fang Chen's unusual movement, Zhenyan Zunj frowned but stubbornly finished counting. 1. At the very last number, Zhenyan Zunj eagerly opened her eyes and looked toward the spirit pool. What met her gaze was nothing but a pool of bloody water. She was frozen for a full 3 breaths before she abruptly reacted, letting out a shrieking howl. "Fang Chen, get your sorry self back here." She stared at that pool of blood, her heart bleeding with grief. Years of painstaking effort, all ruined by Fang Chen. Just at that moment, in the farthest corner of the pool, a splash churned, and a 3-foot-long spirit fish bobbed to the surface, belly up. It was barely alive, weakly twitching its tail, on the brink of death. As it turned out, it had been the farthest from the other fish, and the least affected, thus avoiding the self-destruction. Meanwhile, after Fang Chen had fled Moonwash Lake in a fluster, the Nine Fragrance village chief stared at him with a weird look and asked, "Young Master Fang, is someone cursing you?" Fang Chen coughed dryly and replied without a change of expression, "Is there? I didn't hear anything." "You must be new to the Central Plains and suffering from climate-related hallucinations. Come on, let's go take care of proper business." With that, he led the way out. The Nine Fragrance village chief was speechless and muttered to herself, "Me, climate-related hallucinations." Right then, a delighted cheer rang out from the White Tower. "Fang Chen, come back quickly." The Nine Fragrance village chief froze completely, murmuring, "How can she curse 1 minute and call out lovingly the next? Am I truly hallucinating? Is the Central Plains really that uncanny?" Soon after, Fang Chen arrived at the heaven-touching Black Pillar, where the people of 10,000 Fragrance Village were gathered. Bai Xin and a few members of the Astrology Bureau were organizing them. Those at the mid-nascent soul stage and above were to go to the Astrology Bureau and serve as the future mainstays in resisting the ancient giants. Those below were sent to a designated island and forbidden to roam, take in great province at will. Seeing Fang Chen approach, Bai Xin set aside her tasks and came before him of her own volition. "Long time no see." Bai Xin greeted him, the bright heart sword he had given her strapped to her back. Though her expression remained as impassive and unruffled as ever, the mere fact that she had proactively greeted someone was unprecedented. Fang Chen nodded. He suddenly noticed that Bai Xin had broken through to the 7, aperture nascent soul, so he asked, "Have you found your own Tao?" Bai Xin nodded and simply uttered 2 words, "Justice." She had just broken through to the 7, aperture nascent soul, and already found her Tao. But on second thought, it felt very reasonable. Bai Xin's heart was utterly pure. From beginning to end, she had done only one thing: eradicate evil. Thus, her Tao needed no seeking. It had existed all along. Fang Chen, with a hint of envy, gently nodded and said, "Congratulations. With your disposition, divine transformation is within reach." Bai Xin tilted her head slightly and asked, "And you, do you have your own Tao?" Fang Chen gave a bitter smile and sighed, still searching. Bai Xin pondered for a moment, then fixed her gaze on Fang Chen and said, "Return to the place where everything began and ask your heart." This echoed remarkably with what Venerable Xin Nai had said. "Look back on the path you came. The answer lies within. The path he came. The place where everything began." Fang Chen could not help but gaze toward the distant continent. He had come from that continent, and everything had started there. Many old friends still remained. Perhaps he truly should go back. He withdrew his gaze and declared loudly, "Since Bai Qianhu, no, she must now be addressed as commander. Since Commander Bai is here, from now on, I will be responsible only for guiding the Asura clan. Settling them will be left to Commander Bai and the esteemed heavenly watchguards." Bai Xin nodded in response, "Very well." Thus, the operation to guide the Asura clan kicked off magnificently. Village after village of the Asura clan from the heavenly realm was led down, systematically placed under the unified administration of the Imperial Observatory. The entire process was orderly, though it was not without chaos. Some Asuras refused discipline, and some even plotted to wreak havoc in the Middle Earth. But all were suppressed by Fang Chen and Bai Xin with thunderous decisiveness. Time flew by, and 2 days passed. The last Asura village was guided down. Its chief, still terrified, said, "Chief Jixiang, I thought you had forgotten our village. I was scared to death." Any later, and the great hunt would have already begun. Chief Jixiang smiled and introduced, "Fellow Taoist Dumu, this is the young Master Fang I told you about, who guided you down." "Young Master Fang, this is Chief Changfeng of the Heavenly Eye Asura clan." Chief Dumu immediately saluted and said earnestly, "On behalf of Changfeng Village, I thank young Master Fang for rescuing us from fire and water." The Heavenly Eye Asura lineage, Fang Chen's eyes revealed deep thought. If he remembered correctly, Black Cloud Village was also of the Heavenly Eye Asura lineage, their innate bloodline able to share vision. After a brief contemplation, he asked, "Fellow Taoist Dumu, is the great hunt about to begin?" Chief Dumu said with a grave voice, "When I left, the world had already begun to transform. By now, it has likely already started." Fang Chen asked again, "Does your Heavenly Eye lineage possess any means to observe the current state of the Heavenly Realm?" Dumu nodded, naturally. "Before descending, we released many spirit beasts, scattering them across the Heavenly Realm. They all carry the innate bloodline we imparted. Through their perspectives, we can observe the present conditions of the Heavenly Realm. If young Master Fang wishes to see, I can share it with you." Fang Chen cupped his hands solemnly. "I must trouble Senior Dumu." Dumu extended his index finger and lightly touched Fang Chen's forehead. In the next instant, over 100 images burst into Fang Chen's mind, some of creatures flying in the sky, some running on the ground, some swimming in the water, all spirit beasts. Released by Chengfeng village, they were racing frantically, as if sensing a terrible catastrophe about to befall the world. In truth, the heavenly realm was already warping. Mountains quaked violently, the earth groaned, heavenly fires erupted one after another across regions, tornado after tornado rampaged, and even the long, silent chaos sea stirred towering, furious waves. At that moment, every living being turned its gaze to the sky, the 9 suns that hung in the firmament, eternal and undying, all dimmed simultaneously. Heaven and earth slowly lost their luster, then descended into murky darkness. When the 9 suns became as black as ink, the entire heavenly realm plunged into a terrifying darkness. Gigantic crimson blood eyes emerged one after another in the darkness, appearing in every corner of the heavenly realm, like evil spirits crawling out of hell to descend upon the world once more. One of these spirit beasts had been captured by an Asura clan and locked inside a village. Through its eyes, Fang Chen saw every Asura in the village clutching their weapons, staring nervously outside the cave. Chief, can we truly survive the great hunt? Perhaps we should have followed the other villages and hid in the Middle Earth. The burly village chief snorted heavily. Is the Middle Earth safe? Who knows if it isn't a trap? We are better off hiding in our own village. Our village lies hidden beneath the Chaos Lake. The ancient giants cannot find us. Absolutely safe. His words still hung on his lips when a bloody hole suddenly burst through his skull. A crimson tongue had shot clean through his head. From the concealed entrance above, a hideous blue-green head slowly probed inside, its massive vertical eye brimming with mockery and greed. Its long tongue dragged the chief's corpse back into its maw. With one bite, the body was torn in two, the lower half dangled from its mouth, twitching ceaselessly, while the upper half was crunched with a sickening, grinding noise inside the ancient giant's jaws. Scalding blood rained down upon every single Asura clansman. The village fell deathly silent. All the Asuras looked up in terror, trembling from head to toe, their throats unable to produce a single syllable. Only that chilling, crunching sound echoed endlessly through the village. Yet an even more despairing sight appeared. Another massive blue-green head probed in, no, not just 1, 3, 4, 5. A full dozen ancient giants, like demons bursting from their cages, squeezed inside. Only then did the Asuras scatter in panic and fear, shrieking, roaring in terror. The clatter of falls, chaos consumed the village. Soon, screams mingled with chewing, agonized howls with sly laughter. Blood and shattered bones, weeping and death, became the only melody within the village. A 2-year-old child stood in a pool of blood, clutching a severed hand, weeping as he ran toward the spirit beast locked in a cage. That hand belonged to his mother, who had been holding him just moments ago as they hid, until an ancient giant discovered them. The mother was devoured in a single bite, leaving behind only that small hand that had so tightly held her son. The child cried piteously, gazing at the docile spirit beast in the cage, seeing it as his last refuge, trying to reach its side for shelter. With a thunderous boom, a 10-janked, all-ancient giant landed behind him. The child, even more terrified, ran desperately toward the spirit beast, still clutching his mother's hand. He ran and ran. Suddenly, a tongue lashed out, coiled around him, and pulled him into the sky. With a muffled crunch, amid the rain of blood, the mother's severed hand fell alone, and the child's weeping ceased abruptly. Beasts, Fang Chen violently swept the images from his mind, his fists clenched so tightly they almost bled, his reddening eyes glistening with tears, and a towering killing intent surged across his face. He had watched, helpless, as that child running to him for shelter was devoured alive. That was still a child. A child who, even in death, clung to his mother's hand. He knew the ancient giants were brutal, but the scene before him had given that brutality a horrifyingly tangible form. They would cruelly devour all living beings, sparing not even children. And this very scene would soon unfold upon the land of the Middle Earth. Fang Chen yanked out the mirror and stared at the purple-crimson imperial princess within, a hatred more intense than ever surging in his heart. He said fiercely, "All you ancient giants deserve to die." As his 5 fingers tightened, the mirror groaned and creaked, on the verge of shattering. Seeing the red-eyed, nearly crazed Fang Chen, the purple-crimson imperial princess was astonished. This man, who had shown no emotional fluctuation even before the 5-star giant king and the immaculate sovereign, was now so enraged. It was the first time she had seen Fang Chen so unhinged. She seemed to sense something, glanced at the sky, then counted on her fingers, her gaze shifting slightly. The great hunt has begun. Noticing the heavenly Ayasura lineage standing nearby, she suddenly understood the source of Fang Chen's fury. Calmly, she said, "You witnessed the bloodshed and cruelty of the great hunt, saw the Asura clan's life, and death farewells, the despair and misery of innocent creatures. And so you empathize with them, but don't you humans slaughter cows and sheep, eating their flesh? In the eyes of those cattle, what difference is there between you humans and us ancient giants?" Hearing this, Fang Chen instead grew calm and said with ice, cold indifference, "I knew you would raise this age-old paradox. My answer is standpoint. Cattle and sheep have their standpoint. Humanity has humanity's standpoint. The ancient giants have the ancient giants' standpoint. All sentient beings have their own standpoints. I am human. I can only see all things from the human standpoint. To stand in the shoes of other races is to betray humanity. Therefore, the ancient giants who devour my people are my sworn enemies, and I shall exterminate them." Zaijiang, Huang, and Vi fell silent and sighed lightly. "In the end, it is still you. I had hoped to weaken your resistance to the ancient giants, but I thought too much. A man like you is not easily swayed in thought." Her rhetoric, which framed humanity as guilty and predified the ancient giants' invasion as the natural way of heaven, had existed since antiquity. Those with unsteady wills could easily be led off course and fall into self-negation. But Fang Chen's sharp racial standpoint left no crevice for such sophistry to worm through. Fang Chen's eyes glinted with killing intent, and he said in a deep voice, "One day, I too shall storm the heavenly realm, and make you watch with your own eyes as the children of your ancient giants die miserably before you. I hope then you can use your own sophistry to convince yourself not to be angry." Zaijiang, Huang, and Vi remained calm as ever. Storm the heavenly realm, a bold thought, much like cattle and sheep dreaming of overthrowing your human rule, admirable in thought, but unrealistic. Fang Chen declared with steel, cut certainty, "When many walk the wilderness, the path emerges naturally. For 10,000 years, those who wish to storm the heavenly realm, I believe I am not the first, nor the last. When thousands upon millions of us set foot on this road, then the road will appear." Zaijiang, Huang, and Vi fell silent once more. She recalled a book she had recently read, containing an old human saying, "Though the road is hard, those who walk it will arrive." If humanity had more men like Fang Chen, resourceful, far-sighted, and bearing the world's burdens, who would dare say the day would not come when the Central Plains counter attacked the heavenly realm? She gazed deeply at Fang Chen and slowly said, "I hope this time the heavenly realm can conquer you all and eliminate this threat forever." Fang Chen's eyes were frost, cold, his tone unyielding. "We will ensure they do not return." He put away the mirror, and before his eyes seemed to reappear the Asura child running toward him. His gaze turned stern and resolute. "The task of guiding the Asura clan is already complete." Fang Chen turned to Bai Xin, his tone calm. "Commander Bai, I take my leave." Bai Xin's gaze focused slightly, and she asked, "Where do you plan to go?" Fang Chen looked out across the vast continent, a fierce fire kindling in his eyes. "To find my own Tao and grow stronger." Bai Xin quietly watched Fang Chen. In her impression, this was the first time Fang Chen had so openly expressed his determination to become stronger, like a sword just unsheathed, its edge sharp and dazzling. "Good, may you succeed," Bai Xin nodded gently. Watching Bai Xin lead the Asura clan members off into the distance, almost fading from sight, Fang Chen suddenly recalled something and asked in a loud voice, "Commander Bai, have you ever seen the true face of the Liu Dao Shang Ren?" Bai Xin halted and turned back, a puzzled expression on her face as she shook her head. "No, why do you ask?" Fang Chen said, "When you have time, look into it. If you discover anything, tell me." Though Bai Xin did not understand his intent, she still agreed solemnly. "Very well, I will remember." Fang Chen thought to himself, if Bai Xin truly is the daughter of Liu Dao Shang Ren, then she must recall her own father's face, right? Once she finds out Liu Dao Shang Ren's true appearance, perhaps father and daughter could recognize one another. He bid farewell to everyone. Fang Chen raised his step and headed alone toward the mainland. Suddenly, from the direction of White Horse Temple, Buddhist radiance surged 1,000 zhang high. Golden, iridescent light blazed like a blinding sun, instantly illuminating heaven and earth. Sanskrit chanting rose majestically, swirling all around, calming hearts and minds unbidden. Vajras soared into the air, gathering around a giant 12-petaled golden lotus. Their palms pressed together, they bowed their heads in recitation, their expressions devout and reverent. Upon that 12-petaled golden lotus sat a lone monk in a crimson cassia robe. His aura was peaceful, dignified, and sacred. His visage constantly shifted, now male, now female, now compassionate, now revealing a serene smile. Those eyes were gentle yet profound, brimming with spiritual wisdom and insight. He was none other than the heavenly listening Bodhisattva. A heart that pities all living beings is the Bodhisattva's heart. To exterminate evil and eradicate demons is the wrathful Buddha's heart. The heavenly listening Bodhisattva spoke, his voice magnetic and unhurried, as if piercing the soul. Benefactor Fang, truly a reincarnated son of the Buddha. He listened to the sounds of heaven and earth. The conversation between Fang Chen and Zai Zhonghuang NV was fully captured by his ears. It is time to welcome him into our Buddhist fold. The heavenly listening Bodhisattva slowly raised his palm. In his palm rested a jade box, within which lay a wisp of ashes from wish paper. The ashes stirred without wind, pointing straight north. The son of Buddha intends to go southward to the sea. We shall head north to meet him. Before his words faded, he, the golden lotus beneath him, and the surrounding guardian Vajras all vanished in an instantaneous teleportation. At that moment, Fang Chen still did not know that White Horse Temple had mobilized its entire sect to come and convert him. But he had already guarded his heart against this. He had not planned to go directly south, passing White Horse Temple to reach the sea. Instead, he intended to detour through the great Yin sect's territory on the continent's west, most edge before stepping into the Azure Sea. Yet, just as he was about to make his move, a faint, elusive pill fragrance drifted toward him. Fang Chen instantly grew alert. Too many people now had designs on him. Quickly, he took out a thin slice given by the Jew Zhang Zhaizhu and placed it in his mouth. Immediately, his sense of smell intensified 100-fold. He immediately caught the source of the scent. It came unmistakably from a certain space, not far from the sky-connecting dark pillar, where 3 people with varying depths of pill fragrance were hidden. And this scent was very familiar to him. It was none other than the Deputy Palace Master Yu of Alchemy Province, along with her 2 young disciples. She still hasn't left. Fang Chen was startled. It had been at least half a month since they came to the take in Great Province. And why were they skulking about in hiding? Fang Chen shifted his gaze, having a rough guess. Could it be that they thought his pill-refining talent was extraordinary and wanted to secretly snatch him back to Alchemy Province? If not for that, there was no explaining the bizarre behavior of the 3 masters and disciples. Fang Chen instinctively wanted to use the cloud shadow technique to slip away. But on second thought, the Bodhisattva wanted to convert him, and the 2-star giant king might emerge at any moment to kill him. And now he had no venerable protector by his side. Why not go with the flow and pretend to be captured by Deputy Palace Master Yu? When the Bodhisattva or the 2-star giant king came, Deputy Palace Master Yu would naturally help block them. Thinking this, he feigned ignorance, leapt into the air, and headed straight toward their hiding spot, muttering deliberately, "Going this way to the mainland seems a bit closer." Deputy Palace Master Yu was holding a black tripod, and seeing Fang Chen running directly toward her without deviation, she froze. Such a coincidence. The 2 disciples stomped their feet in anxiety. "Master, what are we waiting for? Grab him now." They had been chasing after Fang Chen's tail the whole way, long fed up. Deputy Palace Master Yu hastily activated the black tripod, her voice somewhat flustered. "It's too late. I didn't expect him to run my way." In the rush, she only managed to lift the black tripod into the air, but hadn't yet exerted its suction force on Fang Chen. But Fang Chen dove head first into the tripod. He went in, still shouting, "Ah, what a powerful suction force! Who is ambushing me?" Deputy Palace Master Yu blinked, staring blankly at her hands that hadn't finished forming the seal. "I didn't activate it." But the 2 disciples were overjoyed, and their flattery poured forth. "Master, you're too amazing." Fang Chen, whom even the 5-star giant king couldn't handle, Master got him in one move. "I originally thought Master would need quite a few methods to suppress him. Master, forgive us. We admit we underestimated your strength before." Deputy Palace Master Yu's old face flushed from the flattery, and she coughed twice guiltily, straightening her back. Of course does Fang Chen, a mere nascent soul cultivator, think he can escape from your master's grasp." Although Fang Chen had delivered himself to her doorstep, which made her feel a bit less involved, like swallowing a dumpling without chewing, a little unsatisfying no matter what. The result was what she had hoped for. She immediately adopted an amiable, kindly expression and said to Fang Chen inside the pill furnace, "Little friend Fang, This old body feels that keeping you in taking great province is a terrible waste of your talent. I want to bring you back to Alchemy Province for further development. You wouldn't mind, would you? Fang Chen rapped his knuckles against the pill furnace wall, his voice tinged with feigned urgency. Deputy Palace Master, you mustn't. A deadly foe is hunting me. You'll be caught in the crossfire. Deputy Palace Master, you paused, then chuckled softly. You can't fool this old woman. Fang Chen seemed to grow more frantic, pounding the furnace wall with even greater force. It's true, I'm not lying, you'll be dragged into this. Yet the more he insisted, the less the Deputy Palace Master believed him. She had witnessed firsthand in the heavenly realm how Fang Chen had deceived an entire host of giant kings and the Emerald Orb Asura king with nothing but his silver tongue. That performance had been far more convincing than this amateur display. Hee, young friend Fang, this old one has long since tasted the fruits of your deception. You won't fool me. Fang Chen, now truly desperate, cupped his hands around his mouth and bellowed from inside the cauldron. Help, someone, stop the kidnapper. Deputy Palace Master, you burst into hearty laughter, her face beaming with triumph. Shout all you like, even if you scream your throat raw, not a soul will hear you. Fang Chen wailed a few more times, and once certain no one would come, he said grudgingly, Deputy Palace Master, you, don't say I didn't warn you. If you end up worse for wear, don't hold it against me. The Deputy Palace Master's eyes crinkled with satisfaction as she gave the furnace a fond pat. Rest assured I won't suffer the slightest loss. With that, she smilingly sealed the furnace lid and exhaled a long, deep breath, as though 1,000 Jin weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Half a month of patient scheming, and it's finally done. Let's go back to Alchemy Province. Her 2 disciples were overjoyed. Master, which route shall we take? Without a moment's hesitation, Deputy Palace Master, you replied, the Northern Sea. We cannot use the official teleportation arrays. The Grand Libationer will undoubtedly sense Fang Chen's aura, and he would never permit me to take the boy away. Only that prefecture-level array in the Northern Sea will allow us to leave the Grand Granary, Great Province, quickly. The male disciple furrowed his brow with concern. But Master, I've heard that array has grown unstable. Half a year ago, it suffered a rupture and accidentally swallowed a young girl who was passing through the Northern Sea. Since then, it's become a random teleportation array, flinging people to any great province at random. Deputy Palace Master, you waved her hand dismissively. It doesn't matter. As long as we can leave the Grand Granary Great Province, we can make our way from another province back to Alchemy Province. At most, it costs us 1 extra supreme grade spirit stone. Move out. Inside the pill furnace. Fang Chen's lips curved into a sly smirk. He muttered under his breath. Deputy Palace Master, you, if someone beats you black and blue, don't say I didn't warn you. Hearing that they were heading to the Northern Sea, his grin widened. What a coincidence. I also need to return to the Boundless Sea. He examined the furnace. This vessel couldn't block his spatial origin. If real danger arose, he could teleport away in an instant. But they mentioned that half a year ago, a young girl was devoured by a prefecture-level teleportation array in the Northern Sea. Could she be someone from our continent? Fang Chen's brow furrowed slightly. But before he could delve deeper, Deputy Palace Master, you was already hefting the Black Cauldron and sprinting away with her 2 disciples. The Black Cauldron howled as the gale whipped against it, making it impossible for Fang Chen to focus. He could only keep his senses alert to the world outside, vigilant in case the 2-star giant king suddenly descended. Half a day later, on an unnamed isle in the Boundless Sea, a young man with fair skin and ruby lips, clad in sumptuous robes and crowned with a jade coronet, crouched before a grill, roasting skewers of meat alongside the island villagers. The skewers, seared crisp on the outside and succulent within, sizzled fragrantly, their mouth-watering aroma drifting everywhere. Grabbing 2 skewers, he walked over to a thatched shelter where a girl of breathtaking beauty sat. Her features were like a painting, her skin so delicate a breath might bruise it. Her face seemed carved by a master artisan, flawless to the last detail. Yet she appeared excessively frail, with a lingering aura of illness, lined against the chair back, eyes lightly shut as if unwilling to speak. Why, it's ready? The girl opened her eyes, and only when she beheld the handsome boy did a shimmer of light return to them. She accepted it with a smile. Thank you, brother Fa Yin. The youth couldn't help but laugh, his tone drenched in affection. I've told you, call me by my lay name, no more Fa Yin. This boy was none other than the now defrocked Vajra Fa Yin. And the girl was Yu. a remnant Asura soul from one of the tombs in the heavenly realm. I want to, Yu cooed playfully. Fa Yin gazed at her adoringly. Fine, call me whatever you like, but eat while it's hot. This is our first stop on our journey around the Central Plains, Grand Granary Great Province. Savor the local delicacies. Yu extended her own skewer toward him. You eat mine. Fa Yin likewise brought his skewer to her lips. They exchanged a bashful smile, and each took a bite. Chewing, Fa Yin's face brimmed with blissful delight. This is wonderful. So good you'd forget to let go even if someone slapped you. Yu burst into giggles and said merrily, "You're so silly." Fa Yin had been laughing too, but suddenly his smile froze. He spun around and looked toward the Grand Granary Great Province. The clouds on the horizon had, at some point, become rimmed with a faint golden glow. Then, row upon row of luminous Sanskrit characters unfurled from the void, coalescing into a majestic Buddhist thoroughfare that spanned the firmament. And there, blazing like a fierce sun, a golden radiance drifted slowly along that holy road into the distance. With a soft plop, the meat skewer slipped from Fa Yin's hand. His eyes wide with shock, he gasped, "A Bodhisattva has left the mountain." Then urgently, "Brother Fang is in trouble. We must go at once." At the same time, within the Imperial Observatory. On the islet leading to Heaven Province, spatial power shuddered violently. A great azure ox, chewing a mouthful of spirit herbs, sauntered out. With a lazy shake, it shifted its body, and the old man slumbering on its back tumbled off and hit the ground. "Oh, you cursed beast, trying to break these old bones." The old man wore a tattered Taoist robe, and as he staggered to his feet, clutching his waist, he grimaced in pain. The grimace pulled at the dense cluster of festering sores on his face, making him suck in a sharp breath. SSS, that brat must have stumbled into calamity beyond reckoning. I suffer heaven's retribution overnight, and sprout all these boils. This old man had originally been in Heaven Province, but a few days prior, excruciating pain had racked his body, and strange ghastly sores had blossomed across his face. He realized this was the backlash of having divined the heavenly secrets for Fang Chen. Something must have endangered the boy, and the heavenly principle, tracing the source, had struck divine punishment upon himself. So after hastily resolving his affairs, he had rushed non-stop to the Grand Granary Great Province. Steadying himself, he murmured, "Let's see if you still face mortal peril, you rascal." As he spoke, his fingers wove a sign, and his domain unfurled soundlessly. High above, a colossal eye spanning the heavens abruptly materialized. Its cold gaze swept the world, taking in every living thing. A glimmer of understanding surfaced in the old man's eyes as he muttered, "Bodhisattva Tianting wishes to convert him to the Buddhist gate. Not fatal. Good. And a two-star giant king also seeks to kill him. Ominous wait. What is that?" Before he could finish, his eyes flew wide open, as if he had glimpsed something unfathomable. The great eye in the sky exploded on the spot. The old man staggered and collapsed, his face a mask of terror. "There is an entity beyond my sight that wants him dead. This is a supreme calamity." Now, back to Fang Chen. Feeling the sea breeze outside, Fang Chen's ever-tense heart finally relaxed a fraction. He mused quietly, unexpectedly, the journey has been astonishingly smooth. He had anticipated being overtaken by the Bodhisattva quickly, yet here they were already at the boundless sea with no sign of the Holy One. Could it be that the Bodhisattva hadn't yet made a move? Fang Chen frowned in thought, finding it improbable. Earlier, when the Bodhisattva had remained in seclusion, he could understand the Bodhisattva had been waiting for Fang Chen to guide the Asura clan down. That was a matter of cosmic significance, so the Bodhisattva wouldn't interfere. But once the Asura clan was received, it should have been the time to act, yet still nothing had happened. Could Fa Yin's information be mistaken, and the Bodhisattva had no intention of delivering him? Just then, the male disciple suddenly called out a warning. "Master, the hidden prefecture, level teleportation array of the Northern Sea lies ahead." A teleportation array. Fang Chen jolted as if struck by lightning, his mind sounding a piercing alarm. The Bodhisattva of celestial listening had no need to chase him across the continent. Deputy Palace Master Yu and her disciples had openly discussed capturing him and their plan to leave via the North Sea Prefecture, level teleportation array, and since the Bodhisattva TVA hears all the voices of living beings, she naturally heard every word with perfect clarity. Why would she bother scouring the land? She only had to lie in wait at the teleportation array like a hunter waiting for a hare. Fang Chen's heart lurched, he inwardly cursed. He'd essentially traveled 10,000 miles just to deliver himself to them. But at this moment, he couldn't act rashly. With Deputy Palace Master you present, she could at least hold off the Bodhisattva for a time. If he revealed himself, the Bodhisattva would head straight for him. Deputy Palace Master Yu's expression relaxed slightly, and she let out a scornful laugh. I told you Fang Chen was lying, didn't I? Enemies? What enemies? He'd better just obediently return with me to Dan Prefecture. She glanced down at the vast sea below and tensed to leap into the water. But in that instant, as though sensing some dreadful presence, she abruptly halted and grabbed her two disciples, hurtling backward. Under her bewildered stare, the sea surface near the teleportation array gradually turned to gold and spread madly outward in every direction. In the blink of an eye, the seawater for 1,000 miles around transfigured into blinding, searing liquid gold. Buddha's light, the Bodhisattva of celestial listening from White Horse Temple, Deputy Palace Master, you was violently startled. At that moment, the golden water erupted into boiling. Boundless Buddha light exploded skyward, condensing into a colossal golden Buddha soaring as high as the heavens. That giant Buddha was identical to the statues enshrined in temples. One hand pointed to the sky, one hand toward the ground, eyes slightly lowered, compassionate, solemn, and majestic. A Buddhist voice resounded, "All encounters arise from karma. Benefactor you, this seat pays you its respects." Deputy Palace Master you glanced instinctively at the black pill furnace in her hand, her mind churning with doubt. She asked heavily, "Is the Bodhisattva waiting for me?" The towering golden Buddha emitted an ethereal yet captivatingly magnetic voice, "Waiting for you, waiting for him, and even more so, waiting for myself." Deputy Palace Master Yu's mouth twitched violently. She cursed inwardly. Speaking with Buddhists was utterly exhausting. If she was waiting for Fang Chen, why not just say so? Why speak in such mystifying riddles? She hadn't expected that, this time, Fang Chen hadn't deceived her. A formidable enemy was indeed in pursuit, and the pursuer was none other than the most terrifying figure in all of Taking Grand Prefecture, the Bodhisattva of celestial listening. She had no choice but to steel herself and say, "This old woman doesn't grasp what the Bodhisattva is saying. I now wish to use the teleportation array here to leave Take in Grand Prefecture, and I ask the Bodhisattva to kindly grant convenient passage." The enormous golden Buddha slowly shifted its form, yielding the sea beneath it, and pressed its palms together, saying, "Good." Then its tone shifted, and also, "Benefactor you, please set down the black cauldron, dissolve this karmic entanglement, and establish a virtuous affinity with my Buddha." Deputy Palace Master, you narrowed her eyes and said icily, "And if I refuse?" The giant Buddha's voice remained gentle and round. The green mountain moves not. Drifting clouds come and go as they please. As the sound of that Buddha's voice faded, Deputy Palace Master, you felt an indescribable force clamp her in an iron grip. Her entire body was rooted to the spot like a mountain, completely immobilized. The black cauldron in her hand, utterly beyond her control, flew free and drifted toward the golden Buddha. Deputy Palace Master, you was struck with sheer terror. She knew the profundity of Buddhist Dharma was unfathomable, yet never imagined it could reach this level. With a single sentence, she was completely frozen. Watching Fang Chen about to be seized, Deputy Palace Master, you burned with desperate urgency. She immediately focused her divine will, and a gray flame erupted from the depths of her soul, instantly burning through the binding spell. The moment she broke free, she flicked her sleeve and cast a pill refining art, slamming it onto the pill furnace. Instantly, countless runes flickered across the furnace's surface, re-establishing their connection. "Come back, Deputy Palace Master," you barked fiercely, and the black cauldron immediately reversed its flight and hurtled back. But just then, the golden Buddha's hand gesture abruptly shifted, forming the conversion mudra, untainted by the six dusts, free from desire and from seeking. As the words fell, every rune on the black cauldron instantly died. Deputy Palace Master, you violently spat a mouthful of blood, her face turning as pale as paper. Shocked and enraged, she cried out involuntarily, You erased my imprint on the black cauldron." Realizing the tide was lost, she fiercely wiped the blood from her mouth and roared in fury, "I don't believe you can snatch Fang Chen from my grasp." Bracing herself with desperate resolve, she bellowed, "Heaven and earth as furnace." In that instant, the divine ring behind her head flickered erratically, and the entire space within her sight burst into raging infernos. She had transformed this entire stretch of heaven and earth into her pill furnace, intending to refine everything within it, as if they were mere medicinal ingredients. In the sky, torrents of fierce flames incinerated everything. The vast sea churned and rolled, as though it had been brought to a boil. The legendary burning mountains and boiling seas had, in this moment, become utterly tangible. Fang Chen watched, utterly astounded.